After 3 thrilling weeks of international baseball, it is our honor to welcome you to the 18th and final game of the World Baseball Classic qualifiers here in 2022, as tonight, with one ticket already awarded from this Panama City bracket to the host nation to move on to the 2023 World Baseball Classic, 2 more teams vie for the final spot in the largest WBC field ever, as tonight Brazil squares off with Nicaragua. Hi, everybody. Back at Estadio Rod Crew for the final time, alongside the former Major Leaguer and Team Australia pitcher Ryan Rowland-Smith. My name is Tyler Mond. Ryan, we had a great one yesterday. Panama dominates through 2 games. They're on to the WBC. They knocked off Brazil. One more shot for that team tonight against Nicaragua.
Yeah, that was absolutely electric inside this building. Probably the most electric atmosphere I've ever really been a part of. The drums were banging the whole night. It was just an absolute blast. But you mentioned the fact that Brazil went down, but they do get that second chance. They have beaten Nicaragua before, so they're still in a good spot. They've still got plenty of energy, plenty of pitching. They're in a good spot right here against Nicaragua.
These 2 teams played just a few days ago, and looking back on what that game was on Saturday, it was really a very impressive performance for Brazil, especially the pitching staff. They got off to the early lead with a run-scoring groundout in the bottom of the first inning. In the third, though, Nicaragua bounced right back on this home run by Melvin Novoa.
Yeah, and we heard so much about these Nicaraguan bats, and you're thinking to yourself at this point, okay, now they're going to start heating up, but that was really all they had all night long.
Leonardo Regginato with that RBI single to give his team the lead for good, and in the 9th, Enzo Sawayama was the one to close it out for Brazil.
And we take one last look at this bracket, the double elimination. You can see, obviously, Panama going through. They have punched their ticket to the World Baseball Classic. Nicaragua has gone through the losers bracket. Brazil have now slid down. They get that last chance. So this is going to be a big one. You mentioned the fact Brazil beat Panama, by the way, back in 2013. That was a huge upset. They get another chance to get to that World Baseball Classic tonight up against Nicaragua.
And here is what it's all for. The 2023 World Baseball Classic field is nearly set. 3 of our 4 qualifier teams have been pushed on to 2023. We saw Great Britain and the Czech Republic qualify from our tournament in Germany just a couple of weeks ago. And of course, last night, Panama making it on through. One more spot remains for this 2023 field. And man, we're excited for that coming up in March. And on the Brazil side, it's the former big leaguer Steve Finley who looks to lead his team back to the World Baseball Classic for the first time since the 2013 edition.
Yeah, he has done such a good job managing. First of all, we've heard so much about the offense, but managing the pitching stuff. One thing that really stood out to me with Brazil, and a big key for them tonight, getting good counts, getting to 2 strikes quickly. We've seen that throughout these qualifiers, and then putting these hitters away. And on the flip side, Nicaragua, we've seen, we've heard so much about the offense, but just chasing a ton of pitches. So a situation for them, they have to have better at-bats. They've got to cut down on the swing and miss and try and let that offense get a little bit of a heartbeat.
This Nicaragua team went 0-2 in the 2013 World Baseball Classic qualifiers, did not qualify for the main tournament. 2017, they went 2-2, didn't qualify. They're trying to get to that final step and make it through behind this starting 9 here tonight. Brandon Layton is the leadoff man. Some big league presences in this lineup. Chester Cuthbert at first base. Melvin Novoa had the big home run on Saturday. He is behind the plate. And then you see the 3-headed outfield monster Bermudez, Bernard, and Monte Alto, the left fielder. And on the other side, the starting pitcher tonight for Brazil is a right-hander already with some experience in this qualifier. It's Heitor Tokar.
Yeah, he looked dominant a couple nights ago against New Zealand, going 3 1/3, 5 strikeouts. Mr. Kid is 6'6", 250. Struggled a little bit this year in A-ball. Obviously, the stuff is there, the fastball is there, really big breaking ball. But like I said, the key for this entire pitching staff against Nicaragua, getting those good counts and then start expanding the strike zone, try and get those swings and misses.
Defense behind Tokar looks like this. Lopes, Maciel, and Luciano in the outfield. Vitor Ito has been really impressive at shortstop. Leonardo Regginato, one of the offensive engines for this team. That's the left side of the infield. Another former big leaguer in Christian Lopes over on the right side. And we've seen some changes at catcher in this qualifier for Brazil. Tonight, Daniel Molinari gets the start.
Yeah, it's interesting. We saw him on that first night, and they kind of flip-flop a little bit. But here he is back behind the dish. Remember that first night he took the backswing off the helmet and had to leave the game. But he's behind the plate tonight for Heitor Tokar, trying to get his team deep into this game.
And we are just about set to go for the first pitch of the final game of this World Baseball Classic qualifier here in 2022. And winding and dealing, the first offering there for a strike at 7:04 in the evening here in Panama City, and we are underway. We did have a little bit of rain here this afternoon shortly after we got to the ballpark, but nothing that kept the tarp on the field for too long, as Brandon Leighton, the leadoff man for Nicaragua, fires the hands at the 0-1, skies it into shallow center, and coming on, no play there for Maciel, who's got to play it on a hop, and the leadoff man's aboard on the second pitch.
Nicaragua, we talked about how aggressive they are. They will chase pitches. Heitor Tokar, he's not a comfortable at bat. We talked about the fact he's 6'6". He's got that tilt on his pitches. Can pitch up in the zone really well. Big breaking ball. But big key, get it outside the strike zone when you can.
Tokar, a member of the Houston Astros organization, going to work with base traffic right out of the gate here in inning number 1. He was signed by the Astros as an international free agent in July of 2017 and really struggled this year at high A with Asheville, an 8.02 ERA in 20 games. 11 of those were starts. But these are some valuable innings. I mean, we've talked a lot about what the Classic does for players, giving them additional innings and opportunities. And for somebody who's scuffled, this is a big opportunity to be able to get yourself right going into the full offseason.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, sometimes when you're playing in A-ball, you kind of hit that autopilot where you're just kind of going through that same routine. It turns into those dog days of August. Now here you are getting a chance to pitch for your country right now. You're pitching on adrenaline. All the games count. Those two men right there, LaTroy Hawkins, Steve Finley, they know all about that. Plenty of playoff experience in that dugout.
LaTroy Hawkins, 21 big league seasons, 11 different teams over the course of his career. He's one of those guys who you can truly say he has pretty much seen everything that can possibly happen on a baseball field. And he told us about what he told his pitchers tonight if they face high-pressure situations and the heartbeat gets going a little too fast.
Yeah, how about that? You know, and he talked about that too, you know, from last night as well. Again, that was a situation, got a young team, some guys who hadn't had that kind of experience, packed house where it starts getting louder and louder the more you are on the ropes. And he said, hey, look, just pick me up in the dugout. And you'll just be that calming presence. I'll be a calming presence when you need it. And sure enough, that's exactly what they did.
0-2, a called strike 3 on the inside corner, and Milcar Perez is gone for out number 1.
Good slider. Tokar, you'll see that velocity slowly start to creep up as he gets comfortable. And a slider to go with it, throws a change up to lefties. You know, one thing with him, 2022, the velo was down a little bit. He had less ground balls. He had a really good ground ball rate leading into this year, excuse me. Like you said, Tyler, you make a great point. The fact that you finish off this year with meaningful games, it's just something you don't get in amongst A-ball during the season.
First pitch on the way to Cheslor Cuthbert. He drives it well to left, and it's over the head of Tim Lopes, and it's off the wall. Digging his way around third base is Leighton. He's held there, but it goes as a one-out double for Cuthbert, who is aboard in scoring position.
Now, we've talked about these bats from Nicaragua, the fact they take a little bit to get going. You see Tim Lopes, usually so good, so sound defensively. That ball just had that extra little bit of exit velo on it, and that extra carry. And they're ready to roll tonight, Nicaragua. Not wasting any time.
That is a big start to this game for this Nicaragua team, which has never made a World Baseball Classic. Nicaragua was within a win of doing so back in 2017. And this team now trying to take that next step. And they got a golden opportunity here in the top of the first to get things started on the right note. First pitch low and away to Elmer Reyes, 0-1. Sandro Guido, he did not have the easiest of tasks. He was scheduled to be a coach on this staff, but not the manager. Marvin Bernard, the former big leaguer, was supposed to be the manager of this team, but unfortunately he had to head home to deal with a family matter. So Sandro Guido slides into that role, and he's been in that role before. He's managed at various levels. He's managed to win championships in the domestic league back home, a Caribbean series. He's managed in World Cup events for WBSC U23 teams. But this is a whole different beast, and if he's able to get this team through, what an accomplishment for his career.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned the fact, sticking around in some of those junior teams.
Bouncing ball right side. This will be enough to get a run home as the first tally of the game crosses. It's an RBI ground out for Elmer Reyes and a 1-0 lead for Nicaragua in the first.
Everyone jumping out of that dugout. Excited. I guarantee you they watched the game last night, Panama and Brazil. Saw that atmosphere. I guarantee you some of that energy's passing over into today.
We do have a pretty good contingent of fans from both of these teams in the house today. We had a couple thousand fans sporting Nicaragua gear for their first matchup of this WBC. That was that loss to Brazil. And now here they are trying to get this team back on track. Coming out of the losers bracket, try to make their way through to the main World Baseball Classic in March as Dwight Britton faces an 0-1 count. A very, very light rain. Not even really sure you can call it a rain. It's more of a mist kind of hanging out there right now. 0-1. Britton down the line. Fair ball. It's going to be extra bases for Dwight Britton. In to score is Cuthbert. Britton's around first as that thing rattles around in the Brazil bullpen, and an RBI double for Dwight Britton brings everybody out of the first base dugout. It's a 2-0 lead for Nicaragua.
Right now, if you're Aitor Tokar, you've got to start making adjustments from that first pitch. They get out of the middle of the plate. We heard LaTroy Hawkins talk about that, saying that if they stay out of the middle of the plate, middle in, and they execute their pitching stuff, we've seen that all qualifiers long, they'll be okay. But I'm telling you, these bats, you make a mistake, they'll make you pay for it.
This is the exact opposite of what we saw in the first meeting between these two teams. What we kept commenting about was Nicaragua just looked flat in that opener.
Yeah.
And this is the complete opposite. The energy out of that dugout, that fan base on the first base side is considerable to get this thing started. As with 2 gone, here is the man who belted the homer against Brazil on Saturday, Melvin Novoa. 1-0. Novoa, 4 for 9, a double, a homer, 2 runs batted in, 4 runs scored. 2 balls and no strikes. That one didn't miss by much. And now they're just going to put him on. So it runs to a 2-0 count on Melvin Novoa, and Steve Finley and LaTroy Hawkins decide they don't want any piece of him.
Yeah, you go to that 2-0 count, you have the open base. Load it, force the runners. You see Toka right here, man. You just have to take that extra breath in between these pitches. Press the reset button. You've given up 2 runs. It's not how you scripted up when you woke up in the morning. Got ready for this game. You kind of envisioned how it's all going to go down, punching a few tickets. Not the case.
Swing and a miss by Sandy Bermudez. And a fly ball, actually more of an infield pop into foul ground, as chasing it toward the track. A grab for Christian Lopes to retire the side. But Nicaragua brings home a pair in the first, and they are in business. We head to the bottom of 1, Nicaragua 2, and Brazil coming up. Starting lineup for Steve Finley's Brazil squad is a talented one, and one that has been pretty powerful throughout this World Baseball Classic qualifier, except for last night when they got blanked by the host nation Panama. Maciel is kind of the guy who sparks things out of the top spot in the order. Lopes, Reginado, and Lopes, 3, 4, 5 have been really, really good. Daniel Molinari is back there as the catcher. And on the other side is the right-hander Osman Gutierrez, who has already picked up a win in this qualifier.
We saw him against Pakistan. Obviously, this is a much different lineup, but he looked good. 3 innings, only 36 pitches. He's had the 2 days off. It's important for him. Nicaragua's bullpen has had taken a bit of a hit. They've lost some pitches. Had to use a lot of them yesterday. Against Argentina, who were scrappy. They had to fight their way through that game. I feel like you take that game away too from Pakistan. Obviously, they rolled them 12-0, but you take that away, you feel like Nicaragua was always on the chase. So this is very different. That 2 runs in that first inning, all of a sudden, setting that tone.
First pitch in there for a strike to the leadoff man, Gabriel Maciel, who so far in this tournament is 3 for 13. Got a couple of doubles, a walk, and RBI. Just the prototypical sort of leadoff guy as he punches that one through the right side, and he's aboard with a leadoff single in the first.
Yeah, he has looked good the entire qualifiers. We were talking about this throughout the game last night. Like, at some point, he's going to come up big. But never quite got across the line. That offense just blanked in Panama.
So the Oakland Athletics prospects aboard to get things started. And it brings up Vitor Ito.
Good chance you may see a bunt in this situation. Even bunt for a base hit, not just a sacrifice. Get the runner in scoring position.
Yeah, Ito, another guy who moves pretty well. Vitor out of Marilia, and he plays in the Japanese industrial leagues for Nisei. As we talked about a little bit last night, is essentially the Japanese equivalent of independent baseball in the United States. If you're a North American fan, it's not directly affiliated with Nippon Professional Baseball. Ball and a strike on Ito. Vitor just 1 hit in 10 at-bats. He does have a walk through his team's first 3 games of this qualifier.
Yeah, he's been tough. You talked about the speed. So obviously he's not going to take you out of the ballpark, but man, the speed has been such a factor.
Two balls and a strike on him. Gutierrez dealing with a leadoff base runner aboard. And the 2-1 is grounded over too short. A high hopper. They'll get the lead out at second, and that's all.
Yeah, you don't see that a whole lot in the big leagues these days. The hit and run, just hit that to the wrong spot. You see him try and slap that ball to the opposite side. Usually in that situation, the shortstop's covering. Not this time, though. Nicaragua caught a break right there with Maciel running as well.
So with 1 gone, it brings up Tim Lopes, who has been the best hitter not named Leonardo Reginado on this Brazil team. Lopes has been outstanding. A 385, 429, 615 slash line. 5 for 13. He does have a home run from Saturday, and he knew it as soon as he got it against New Zealand.
Yeah, that really is what got Brazil going in that first game. First game of the tournament. It feels like it was 2 weeks ago. It's only a couple days ago.
A 1 fouled at the plate. Can you believe this is 18 broadcasts we've done over the last 3 weeks?
Wow.
Crazy. It has been quite a run through Armin Wolf Baseball Arena in Regensburg, Germany, to here at Estadio Nacional Rod Carew in Panama City. And the World Baseball Classic now less than 6 months away, really about 5 months away. We'll get that thing started in early March. Taichung will open World Baseball Classic play with Pool A, Tokyo Pool B, Phoenix Pool C, Miami Pool D. And on to crown a champion in Miami in March. Ball and 2 strikes on Lopes, who spent this season with the Albuquerque Isotopes and the Colorado Rockies organization. 1-2, swung on and missed.
That's a big slider. You go back to this sequence from the first pitch. First of all, getting ahead in the count with that little sinking fastball. Now, this was a mistake. That was that changeup, kind of hung up there, missed, and then breaking off that slider. You're going to see plenty of that. Osman Gutierrez, if he starts getting comfortable with that pitch, especially with 2 strikes, that's just going to be a steady dose of that late slider of his down the way to some of these right-handed hitters in the middle of this lineup.
Gutierrez, a former member of the Toronto Blue Jays organization. He pitched at the rookie level for 5 seasons between the Dominican Summer League and the Appalachian League. Only made it up to full season ball for 18 games with the Lansing Lugnuts, which is coincidentally the team for whom Gabriel Maciel, the base runner over at first, played this year. Now, Maciel, a member of the Oakland A's system. That's the parent club of the Lugnuts now. But that was back in 2017 for Gutierrez, so he has not been in affiliated ball for a while. And he's going to work here against the toughest bat in this Brazil lineup, Leonardo Reginado. Reginado through 3 games, 6 for 11 with 4 doubles. He's also walked 3 times. He's been a monster at the plate for Brazil. Oh, 1 is rifled back into center field. He's got his 7th hit in 12 at-bats. Stopping at second base is Ito. It's first and second, 2 gone.
And Brazil starting to press just a little bit. You get back to that strikeout to Tim Lopes. Talked about the meat of this order, how big that was when you got Reginado right behind him, and now all of a sudden you got to face Christian Lopes, but you get a chance to face him with 2 outs.
So 2 gone and 2 aboard for Christian Lopes.
Christian Lopes made his debut this year with the Oakland A's. A couple games and then back to AAA.
And he gets drilled. So the bases are loaded now with 2 gone as Nicaragua 2 in the top of this inning and Brazil immediately threatening in the bottom half.
It's just the fastball just gets away from Osman Gutierrez. You already see a mound visit right now. We've had the catcher go out in Novoa. You got the pitch coach heading out there. Again, this is just, look, it's the first inning. You just want your guy to get in the rhythm, say, you know, it's all good. Let's get back inside, back in these good counts. Get our team back in that dugout, man. That Nicaragua team had that quick momentum. We haven't seen that from this team. The 2nd seed in this qualifier.
Jorge de Paula, the pitching coach for Nicaragua, as you see already work going on down the right field line. I believe that's Jesus Garrido. It is the right-hander out of Managua. So tight spot here in the bottom of the 1st for Nicaragua. Hanging on to a 2-0 lead. There is no tomorrow for this World Baseball Classic qualifier. The winner of this game is headed on to the main tournament in March, and the loser is going home, and Lucas Rojo is down 0-1. So at first base, Christian Lopes, second base, Leonardo Reginado, and third base, Vitor Ito. As Osman Gutierrez tries to wriggle out of this first inning jam. 1-1. Good block back there by Melvin Novoa.
Yeah, and 2 sliders right there. That's a situation like, look, don't make a mistake. Let's not give in. Loaded bases. And slider, back to it.
Gutierrez a long stare in to get what he wants from Novoa. 1-1 pitch. Grounded on a couple of hops to third. And 5-4 putout will wrap things up here in the bottom of the first. Brazil threatens but can't get anything across. And we are headed to the top of the second inning in Panama City. Our score, Nicaragua 2 and Brazil 0. A tale of two first innings. Nicaragua 2 runs across in the top of the first as they cash in some big opportunities. And on the other side, Brazil loading the bases and unable to bring anyone in. And we go to the top half of the second. And Isaac Bernard will lead things off for Nicaragua.
And for Toka, he had that tough first inning. It was kind of similar to when you look up some of his numbers this year, had that 8 ERA. It wasn't like he was walking a whole bunch of guys, but he was very hittable. Opponents hitting 340 off him. The velocity was down, wasn't getting the same ground balls. It's that moment you get a chance to go back out in that second inning, just press the reset button to make better pitches.
One-0 pitch on the way to Bernard. 2 balls and no strikes. Bernard, the son of the former big leaguer, Marvin Bernard. Isaac was born in Arizona. And a guy who, so far in this qualifier, has been trying to find his way at the plate. He's been dropped down in the order. He's only got 1 hit, but that 1 hit was a big one back on Sunday.
That ball was crushed against Pakistan, part of that 12-run blowout.
Former Tampa Bay Rays prospect. 3-0 pitch is nowhere close. 4-pitch walk to lead things off in the second against Tokar.
I guarantee you those wheels are spinning right now with Steve Finley, LaTroy Hawkins, to start mapping out these next 7.5 innings, figuring out how they're going to piece this one together, because Tokar just does not look the same as he did a couple days ago.
So we arrive at the 9th spot in the order, and Luis Monte Alto, the left fielder. Everybody's available. I mean, we know that for today. The only issue with that as a battle plan for the final day of these qualifiers is you do have pitchers who are out because they exceeded that 30-pitch limit over the last few days, or over the 50-pitch limit, to necessitate multiple days of rest. But this is very much a circumstance in which I would be surprised if we see either of these starters last past the 3rd today.
Yeah, 100%. Unless they're getting a good roll. Osman Gutierrez, you know, he's scuffed a little bit, got out of that jam. If you can get on a roll, especially for Nicaragua too, you're talking about some of the guys who aren't available. J.C. Ramirez, he made that start. Godoy, he pitched. Tellez, Crawford, 2 guys who are pretty prominent in that bullpen. Routers, we saw him yesterday go over that 30-pitch threshold. So a lot of arms missing.
Brazil is in the spot that Spain was in the Germany qualifier, in that they got a chance to play on Tuesday in the play-in game to try to make it through to the Classic. They lost that game, and so now they're going at it tonight, having managed a game yesterday very differently from what Nicaragua sort of had to do to try to make it through.
For sure, and look, you go back to Germany and Spain, who were the powerhouse the entire qualifier. They just look like they're out of gas, that second game. And it's not so much, look, they played the extra innings. It was a late night, dealing with some weather, so that's part of it too. But I think psychologically, you just get drained. And I think for Brazil, one of the things, and we got a chance to talk to LaTroy Hawkins, a couple of those guys before the game. We said, hey, everyone good? He said, yeah, everyone's good. But, man, when you've got that big crowd banging those drums, you get beat. Fair enough, yeah, physically you're okay, but mentally it can take its toll for sure.
Check on Bernard first, and Bernard back in.
But that's definitely one thing to keep an eye on as we get into the third inning, fourth inning. Do they look flat? Is there that same energy out of that dugout we've seen throughout this week?
And with a much larger contingent of Nicaragua fans, Brazil trying to give their smaller but loud base on the third base side something to get excited about, dealing with the leadoff base runner here in the second.
And right now, Toka, we talked about the fact that Nicaragua chase, you have to get out of the strike zone. You got 2 strike count right here, have to expand.
A ball and 2 strikes on Monte Alto. Luis still in search of his first hit, 0 for 8 in the qualifier, and he waves and misses at that one that tied him up.
That's as advertised here in Nicaragua. They will chase, get good counts, you get swings just like that. It's just a matter of getting to those good counts.
That turns the lineup card over and sends us back to Brandon Leighton in the top spot. Leighton got everything started last inning. The single up the middle. Duncan one into center field. Went to third base on Chesler Cuthbert's double. And scored on the RBI ground out by Elmer Reyes. Pitch there for a strike. Tokar really mindful of Bernard over there, and Isaac Bernard obviously moves fairly well. He's a center fielder, somebody who can run, but we haven't seen a whole lot of Nicaragua base runners attempt to move on the base paths. They've only attempted 3 steals through the first few games. A check swing, and that skips away from Molinari, and Bernard didn't read that real well, so he'll stay at first.
And that ball nowhere near the strike zone. Getting that swing. Tried to check it.
Very deliberate pace to the work in this inning for Heitor Tokar. Coming set on 0-2. And a swing and a shot. That's through for a base hit. Just past the outstretched glove of Vitor Ito. And with 1 gone, first and second, Nicaragua's lineup. This is what we've expected the last few days. Now they're coming alive.
Yeah, and Tokar doing them some big favors. 0-2, you get a pitch, a slider, that 0-1 pitch, swing right over it. You have to get out of the strikes, and you see him just throwing fastballs middle. All of a sudden, LaTroy Hawkins coming out. I guarantee you that would be part of the conversation right here on the mound.
We got really cool look into the relationship between LaTroy Hawkins and the man to his right, Thiago Caldera, today. Thiago's been involved with this Brazil national team program for the last 15 years. And LaTroy, obviously being a guy who pitched 21 years in the big leagues, he's got the expertise in environments like this. But he said, I like bringing Thiago out. We've seen that a lot, that they've gone out together for practice. He said, I like bringing him out because the guys are comfortable with him. He's known them since they were little kids.
Yeah, it's crazy when you hear some of the relationships that get built, especially some of these guys. When Thiago mentioned the fact that he's known them since they were 12 years old. And then all of a sudden you layer on the fact that LaTroy Hawkins has been here before. Obviously he's had that big career in the big leagues. He has that calming presence. And he's back against the wall of this team. He's still got a smile on his face. He's good. He's been here before.
He's such an engaging and interesting and intelligent baseball mind. And he told us today, you mentioned that he said to his pitchers, I can be your calming influence. And he said, after the game, I'll be gassed because mentally I will have been going through this with them. Pitch there for a strike to get the at-bat started for Milcar Perez.
There's that one guy in the lineup who won't chase. Milcar Perez. I haven't seen a whole lot of thump just yet out of that bat. But so patient, big prospect with the Seattle Mariners.
Perez struck out looking in the first inning. Heitor Tokar is certainly not in a rhythm yet. I mean, it's definitely not a get the ball back and go because you're feeling it. Right now, he is grindingly slow here in the first, and he wants to go over things again with Daniel Molinari.
He's just having a tough time seeing the signs, too. Those glasses being there, they fog up a little bit in this humidity. Saying, hey, look, I can't see them.
That's tough, too, because you're in a circumstance where things are not really going your way, and then to be struggling with something like that, it's like, all right, what else is going to happen right now?
Well, that's honestly, when your blood pressure rises a little bit and your heart starts pumping, here comes the trainer. I'm telling you, those lenses fog up. I've worn them. I used to wear them in the big leagues. When you're in a tight spot, I'm telling you, it's crazy. Body heat all of a sudden becomes a factor. But yeah, he is grinding through this outing right now, just trying to get through this second inning unscathed.
Remember that Brazil staff, I believe that's Eric Blum, who's the equipment manager for Brazil, going out to try to help solve the glasses situation. Two on, one out. Perez awaiting. And the count goes to 0-2 on it. Second base is Isaac Bernard, who walked to lead off the inning. At first base, Brandon Leighton, singling on a liner to left just a moment ago. Took our home on 0-2, and that's ball one.
Tell you what, he's not going to offer that. That's something that stands out. When he's a big prospect with the Seattle Mariners, plays really good defense, elite plate discipline.
One-two. Got him for the second time striking out today. Two gone.
We talked about Toka getting into good counts. First of all, gets the fastball over, nothing doing from Milcar. He is patient. There's the changeup. Misses, tries to go breakable. Back to the changeup. Good pitch.
So two gone, runners remaining at first and second. Yeah, Milcar Perez this year at Class A Modesto, he struck out 59 times, but he walked 47 times. I mean, his plate discipline is really good, as you noted. And now 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. Kind of a surprising start to the game for him. And with 2 out and 2 aboard, Chester Cuthbert doubled down the line and left his first trip to the plate.
And I think if Tokar can get this out, he'll be back out for the third. If not, I think Brazil probably have to make that move. Bullpen's locked and loaded, ready to roll.
All hands on deck for game number 18 of these World Baseball Classic qualifiers. Game number 9 here in Panama City. One ticket to the Classic remains. And the winner of this game gets it. Brazil off on the right foot with a 2-0 lead and trying to add to it here in the second. Cuthbert now 4 for 12 with 2 doubles here in the qualifier. Yeah, Tokar just can't seem to find his groove on the mound. He's been so mindful of the base runners. Comes set here on 2-0. 3 balls and no strikes.
Yeah, he's really laboring right now. Already 3-0. You can see too some of the non-verbal, some of the body language out of him. Kicking the dirt around. Messing with his glasses, messing with the ball. Just does not look comfortable at all in this game.
Astros prospect trying to limit damage here in the second. .3-0 to Cuthbert. In there for strike 1. The other thing that you risk in a circumstance like this too is working so slowly. The guys out there behind you start to get a little flat-footed. We talked about it a lot throughout this qualifiers. That's foul down the line. You get the ball back, you go to work. Infielders love that, especially.
I've talked to guys about that all the time. I tried to work as fast as I could. It's just a pitch, middle, Chester Cuthbert, the former big leaguer, jumping all over that 3-1 mistake. But yeah, you mentioned that, Tyler. It's such a big deal, man. When you're laboring out there and you're slow in between pitches, that 15 seconds, all of a sudden your defense, especially the infielders, start to lull to sleep a little bit. Lose that step or two of range. This is a big out right here. It's the second inning. You have to make a pitch.
3-2. I mean, Isaac Bernard, he has been on the base paths for probably 20 minutes or so as it feels at this rate. This has just been a slog of an inning. And really, it's just Tokar trying to figure out what's going to work best for him is what it seems like. Like you said, the frustration with the glasses issue is just an additional element in this. You're trying to find your groove. You can't. Then you got an equipment problem. 3-2 pitch. Runners off and another foul.
Yeah, you were just hanging by a thread right now. 3-2 pitch over and over. You gotta treat this like it's the 9th inning.
Well, Troy Hawkins communicating with his backstop Daniel Molinari. Some tense moments over there for two guys who combined for nearly 4 decades of big league time. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 gone in the second. Another 3-2. And a drive down the right field line, slicing toward the corner and foul. Cuthbert squaring this thing up, but hasn't been able to put one between the lines yet.
Yeah, and you can see right now, Tokar's just going straight fastball, fastball. He doesn't quite have the feel for that breaking ball. Usually a situation like this, when you're feeling right, you'll switch it up and go to that breaking ball, but just not the case. You can see even more issues right now, that fog all over those glasses. He has been out there for 25 minutes, like you said.
And yet again, an equipment issue for this young right-hander. And Sandor Guido, the manager from Nicaragua, is out talking with our first base umpire tonight, Dane Ponsack.
And I totally understand this, where he's coming from, Guido, because the situation, look, you've already had the 2 mound visits, right? Obviously, if you make the 3rd mound visit, whether it be a coach or a pitching coach, whatever, all of a sudden you have to go to that bullpen. But to have the trainer come out over and over, I mean, that's something you got to say, hey, listen, he's got to deal with it. If he's got foggy glasses or equipment that's not working, he's got to deal with that.
Yeah, that's this is not an ordinary sort of equipment deal.
But man, I used to pitch in glasses.
Right.
They would get foggy. Trainer cannot come out and help you. Straight up, it's on you. You have to figure it out.
These Nicaragua fans sense something big. 3-2 fouled away again. Great at bat here from Cuthbert, who continues to battle. Cuthbert, with that double in the first, put himself at second, Brandon Layton at third. Elmer Reyes with a ground out to second, scored the run. And then Dwight Britton added a double of his own to score Cuthbert. That made it a 2-0 game. Chesso trying to come through here on 3-2. Another pitch on the way, and it comes inside and plunks him. And you got to think this is going to be the end of the night for Heitor Tokar. This has just been a brutal second inning for him, and the bases are loaded now with 2 gone, and here comes Steve Finley.
Yeah, just nothing doing. Tokar just did not have that feel. It's not how they scripted up. Yeah, you're going to have to mix and match out of that bullpen the best you can.
That is tough to see. You get trusted with the biggest start for your country, and just everything kind of conspired against Tokar tonight, and he's going to have to depart this game here in the second. So it's going to be a long night for the Brazil bullpen. We'll tell you about the first reliever when we return. New arm into the game for Brazil here in the top of the second inning is the right-handed reliever Gabriel Barbosa, who is just past his 20th birthday out of Bastos, Brazil, a member of the Colorado Rockies organization. And whenever you start a description of a pitcher as saying new arm into the game in the top of the second, it's not really a good night for the team on that side. But Brazil's only given up 2 runs to this point, and still an opportunity to get out of this with no damage done.
Yeah, if you can wiggle out of this inning, you could be in good shape. Those bats will wake up. But man, what a slog this inning has been. The top of the second. Nicaragua all of a sudden in full force offensively. Barbosa now though, he looked good against New Zealand. He started that game. Tokar came in after him. 2 2/3, 3 runs on that 1 double, loaded bases.
And we were talking with LaTroy Hawkins before the game tonight. He said he felt like that was on him because the bottom of the first inning was so long in that game that he told Barbosa, why don't you get up and get throwing? And Barbosa said, no, I'm fine. And they let it go for a little while longer. And then by the time Barbosa decided that he was going to go throw, final out of that first inning came across. So he had tightened up or cooled down, I guess I should say, a little bit, and then gave up 3 in the top of the second. And his first pitch is inside to Elmer Reyes. It's a ball and no strikes.
Yeah, you love some run support, but man, when you're in a good rhythm, especially early, coming out of the bullpen, you feel fine. All of a sudden, you got that 25-minute layoff. We're going to see that for Osman Gutierrez as well for the Nicaragua team.
Ball and no strikes on Elmer Reyes. These Nicaragua fans, they are into it. And we saw that for this team's first game just a few nights ago, that they may not have the same numbers as the home team Panama had last night or in their first game, but they certainly bring the noise. One coming to Reyes. 1-2.
Already 2 good breaking balls from Barbosa. It's going to be important. You have to get that secondary pitch over. Nicaragua will swing, will chase. That's a big pitch right here. Second inning. Look, I mean, we're talking like it's the 8th inning. This is how crucial every single inning you play when you're trying to qualify for that World Baseball Classic.
Barbosa trying to get off of the hook. And the 1-2 skied into foul ground. Christian Lopes, the same way he ended the first inning, makes a catch in foul ground to end the second. And somehow, through that lengthy top of the second, Nicaragua loads the bases and brings home nothing. We go to the bottom of 2. Nicaragua out in front. 2-0 lead over Brazil on the final day of Pool B play in Panama City. Base is loaded, 2 out in the top of the second inning, and Gabriel Barbosa able to get out of the jam for this Brazilian pitching staff as he induces a foul pop-out from Elmer Reyes to end the threat. And as we move along into the bottom of the second inning, I mean, for all of this, we're nearly an hour into this game. Brazil only trailing 2-0 right now.
Yeah, that performance from Barbosa coming in, you're on the ropes already, you got loaded bases, you got to make that big out. You've been watching your buddy Tocar just absolutely struggle. You're seeing these big bats from Nicaragua. You haven't seen that yet. Man, what a job. Landing 2 breaking balls and then getting that big pop-up to over there to Christian Lopes. On the flip side, man, if you're Sandor Guida, you go, like, here we go again.
Yeah.
Just missing opportunities.
Certainly the worry, I would imagine, in that Nicaragua dugout, because we really felt like, oh, here they come. We've been waiting for this, the floodgates to open for this team, because this offense is so talented and still unable to put together that big inning. We've seen the small innings from Nicaragua, but we have yet to see just that big breakout where you think, oh, they have arrived now. And the count, no balls and 2 strikes on the leadoff man, Daniel Molinari, the catcher. Now, on the other side of this equation is the right-hander Osman Gutierrez, who saw Brazil load the bases with 2 gone in the bottom of the first. And after he sat around for a little while, now he's got to go back out there against the bottom third of the order for this Brazil team. Oh, 2. Molinari in the early going of this qualifier. He actually has played in all 3 games in total. 1 for 5, and he swings and misses.
And we're wondering if Osman Gutierrez was going to be sharp coming out of this inning. He had to sit out for 25 minutes. First of all, gets ahead of the count. And then this pitch. This is going to be a huge weapon, that slider of his. And here it comes again. That's late. It's sharp. Keeping these Brazilian hitters off balance, guessing. I guarantee you, that's a situation you get back. If you're Molinari back in that dugout, someone asks you, hey, what do you see? Like, hey, man, that slider looks good. Man, it could send... I mean, you can get swimming in the back of your head thinking about that pitch because it is good already. Establishing that pitch with the sinking fastball on the other side of the plate.
So leadoff man gone. That brings up Fernando Luciano. The first pitch to him is a strike. Luciano to this point, 1 for his first 8 with a double. One and 1. Nicaragua, a baseball-proud country, but a place that has yet to reach the World Baseball Classic, which is almost surprising. I mean, looking back on the history of the WBC, you think, at some point, surely Nicaragua has been there, but they have not. They weren't in either of the first 2 editions. Didn't make the main tournament after going 0-2 in 2013. And despite winning 2 games in the qualifiers in 2017, they didn't make the main tournament then either, as the 1-2 was inside.
There's so much talent coming out of Nicaragua, as we know, but man, always on the fence when it comes to getting to the World Baseball Classic in March.
2-2. They've got a brand new ballpark in Managua, Dennis Martinez National Stadium, that is supposed to be just incredible. About 30,000 is what that facility seats. Similar to this one once the renovations are all completed here in Panama City. 2-2 call, strike 3 on the breaking ball.
Man, I'll tell you right now, first of all, we talked about the slider on the outer half of the plate, and then he comes back in with that changeup right there, 84 miles per hour, going the other direction. Man, he is dialed in. That's not good news for that Brazilian offense. That is for sure.
So it's the change for strikeout number 3. And that sends up Daniel Chibana, the designated hitter. And first pitch swinging, grounds 1 left side. It's scooped by the starter Gutierrez, who's thrown at first, is in time. Talk about a strong response inning on the mound. 3 up, 3 down, and we head to the top of the 3rd. Nicaragua's got a 2-0 lead. weeks of baseball across 2 countries for us, the lucky ones who have gotten a chance to watch these World Baseball Classic qualifiers. This was the scene in Germany a couple of weeks ago as Great Britain and the Czech Republic qualified for each of them their first ever World Baseball Classic trips. 10 affiliated players on that Great Britain squad, not a single one for the Czech Republic. 2 teams that were so much fun for us to watch and are going to be really interesting stories to follow come March.
Yeah, I remember day one of being in Germany, you talked, well, first of all, I said, look, Spain, all right, Great Britain, all the affiliated players, all the storylines. And the other one was Germany. I remember thinking, okay, Germany looks pretty solid.
Yeah, they have 5 affiliated players.
I said
as well
to you, Tyler, and this is where I got to give you some credit. I said day one, I said, hey, who you got? You said Czech Republic. I said, Czech Republic? What are you talking about? And you weren't wrong. I mean, they did not look good that first game. I remember we had Adam Jones in the booth, and they were getting absolutely boat raced.
This was the final night for the Czech Republic.
Man, and this is the upset. We said there is going to be an upset at some point, and this was it. First of all, the game before this, they're pitching to Germany to get to this point, and then knocking off Spain, who were an absolute powerhouse.
Little flare out on one hop to short. Ito with no trouble there, retiring Dwight Britton, 1 up, 1 down.
And I think, too, when you're watching Brazil right now, I feel like they have a little bit of what Spain had going into this last game. They're all hyped up, ready to roll, obviously, last night against Panama. Then they come to this, okay, yeah, we're in a second chance, but they're a little flat right now. They need to break out of that.
You know, what was most amazing to me, and it was the same last night watching Panama, is the celebrations of these teams. You know, the Czech Republic guys, they got thumped. They got absolutely smoked in game number 1 against Spain. And, you know, I will gladly take the credit because I know it pains you to give it to me for that Czech Republic team. But on day number 1, they were down 21-2 at one point. And I thought, man, maybe I don't have any idea what I'm talking about in these games. But they rallied. They came through the losers bracket. And on the flip side of that was Great Britain. And Great Britain went undefeated. But that team came in as a lower seed, so they played an additional game. They weren't like Panama, who only needed to win 2 to go through. And that Great Britain squad, it just seemed like they were the team that maybe came together latest before the tournament, but man, they came together quick when it got to qualifier time.
Yeah, and there's 2 rosters that were built completely differently.
Yes.
You know, Czech Republic, homegrown guys, they all know each other. They came up through the same academies and the same coaching and everything else. And this Great Britain team built entirely from guys who live in the US but have that lineage to Great Britain. And this is what I love too. Look at Harry Ford, one of the biggest prospects in the game. And you can see right here, Seymour just slamming that flag into the ground. So proud to represent Great Britain. It's going to be fun to watch them come March.
I will never forget, we're sitting up in the booth finalizing our, scorebooks and packing up and getting everything ready to leave. And they're still celebrating on that field as a bouncing ball over to third base. Reginato records the out. And somebody said, can you hear that? They're yelling down there, the British are coming, the British are coming, which I thought was amazing. We may have a review on this as it looks as though Nicaragua might want another look over at first. And we will return. The foul ball. So it was ruled a foul ball. That was strange because our third base umpire, Lisa Turbot, she pointed that was fair. She was behind that play, so she may have not had the best angle to see it. It was actually home plate umpire Anthony Perez who overruled that and just didn't happen to see that when Leonardo Reginato picked it.
Yeah, it's tough to see. Plus, she's got a body in front of her as well.
So, Sandy Bermudez now bounces one pretty much to the exact same spot. And we'll just replay it, and this time it will be the final out. 5-3 put out, wraps things up at the top of the third. We go to the bottom of 3, Nicaragua with a 2-0 lead. Nicaragua's fans having fun so far as we move into the bottom of the third inning. They've got a 2-0 lead out in front of Brazil. A matchup with the world's number 15 national team for Nicaragua, number 25 from Brazil. And heading into the bottom of the third inning, 2-0 is our score. Back in the Stadio Rod Carew, Tyler Mon, former WBC pitcher Ryan Roland Smith. 2 of them for you, correct?
That's correct.
2 of them.
Could have been 3, but
could still be
elbow
3.
Injury, 2000. Yeah, that's true.
Australia's all set to go in March. Just saying.
Get in shape. Start playing catch again.
I would imagine that your lovely wife Amanda, back home somewhere in the Seattle area, is tuned in and is like, "Will Tyler shut up about that, please?" Line her out to short, 1 up, 1 down. Stop trying to talk him into coming back.
Pull the old spikes out of the storage unit.
You're not that old of a guy. You're spring chicken.
No,
I think it work.
I wish I could, but I would love to have another chance to play for Team Australia. That is for sure, but the old engine just doesn't turn over the same way. That is for sure.
There are already some interesting names confirmed as having stated their interest at participating for their national teams in the 2023 edition of the World Baseball Classic. 2 of those from Australia. Curtis Mead, a fantastic young prospect in the Tampa Bay Rays organization, and also your friend Liam Hendricks, one of the best closers in baseball for the last 6-8 years now. Liam Hendricks has said that he would be interested in participating. There were some really big news items that came out this week. There was a raft of commitments and announcements for Venezuela's roster. Jose Altuve is in. Miguel Cabrera is in yet again. That squad is going to be stacked, and they are in that pool in Miami to get things started against Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic. That is going to be a loaded group. The amount of players who annually are interested in playing for those squads are far and away, I would say, it's just different. And we talked about this with, a handful of guys who have come through the booth over the last couple of weeks. On the U.S. side, over the last decade and a half, it's been different the way the Americans have built their rosters. But Miguel Batista told us in the first time we talked to him in Germany, he said, we had 3 future Hall of Famers on our first Dominican Republic roster, and we were turning guys away. There were so many talented guys. We were turning guys away.
And I love, too, in this one for 2023, how you're starting to see these big announcements via social media about so-and-so committing, so-and-so committing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And they're doing it early, too, which is fascinating. The fact it's still 2022. We're still months away from the World Baseball Classic. It's not like it's 2 months in and they're like, oh, yeah, I figure I'll go play. No. They're committing now. That's how excited some of these players, the best players in the world, are to get going in March.
And what a buzz that helps build for the event, too, because it's not just, well, we're all waiting around. It's the second week in February, and we'll get some rosters out here eventually. And, of everybody who is committed, I'm sure that at some point we'll learn that handfuls of these guys won't be able to play. That's just the nature of the beast. But some of the other names for Venezuela, Salvador Perez committed this week, Luis Arias, Andres Jimenez. There is so much talent that, 6 months before the event has said, I'm in for that.
Yeah, it's great.
And that just helps the excitement for what people are going to experience in March. Major League Baseball, the World Baseball Classic have done such a great job in enhancing that interest months ahead of time, and that's a big step. As a sky-high pop-up back behind the plate, Melvin Novoa will watch this one land in the seats behind a couple of guys wearing USA Baseball jerseys.
And I think, too, and a lot of people, when the World Baseball Classic first came to light, everyone's like, well, March? Is that the best time to have it? There's really no other time to have the World Baseball Classic because, it kind of fits in really well where pitchers are still building up 2-3 innings. You'll see starting pitchers go a little shorter and use that to get ready for their season. Sort of hybrid that, but I think that once, and we're not far away from this too. I think come 2023, you talk about the World Cup in soccer, how big of an event that is. You watch your superstars go play for their big clubs all over Europe and all over the world, but then when they come together and play for their countries, it's such a special moment. And I think for baseball, if you have that special moment beginning of the season, then you have the playoffs at the end of the season, that would be something.
And what we've talked about so much is the way that the U.S. winning in 2017 legitimized the World Baseball Classic to millions of fans, because I think a lot of people viewed it as, yeah, it's fun, but, you know, the U.S. hasn't put out a team yet that can win it all and blah, blah, blah. The U.S. wins it. Now this year, you look at the guys who have committed to play for the United States: Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, Mike Trout. Catch made back behind the plate. Melvin Avoa makes the grab, and that will do it. We'll continue the conversation on the other side. 2-0 is the score as we head to the fourth in Panama City.
Hey, Ryan, thanks for coming by.
Sure. What do you got for me this year?
You're gonna love this.
I don't get it.
Ryan Roland Smith.
Yeah?
Roland-Smith. It's a hyphen. You're the hyphen.
You're unbelievable, mate.
Come on. Ever see what I did for Bartolo Colon? Ryan.
Did you put the track after this or what? I mean,
I'm not going to confirm or deny that at all.
oh, good memories. Good memories. Some fun commercials, making fun of the hyphen in my name. You asked me about the hyphen too, by the way.
I did.
You did.
I did.
And a lot of people, I got heckled about this, saying, oh, you know, you hyphenated your last name, and, you know, like I had any choice over the matter. It came from a couple generations back on my dad's side. First name was Roland, last name was Smith, and they hyphenated the name to honor the past.
Which is very cool. It was like a patriarch of the family. I did not know this. I figured, yeah, it was something where you were hyphenating two different families.
No.
But it was a relative that your like great grandfather wanted to honor, and his name was Roland Smith.
Right.
And they hyphenated the name in order to. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a cool story when I heard that, because I had no idea. Because here's the deal. When I first got to the big leagues, one of the PR directors came running up to me and said, oh, hey, I've got some big news for you. And I was, you know, a 24-year-old young rookie trying to mind my own business. And he said, do you realize when you throw a pitch in the big leagues, you'll be the first ever hyphenated name in the big leagues? And I said, really? And I said, okay, that's not a big deal. But the Seattle Mariners, as you can see, have just kind of caught on, and they made quite the deal out of it. But, hey, I'll take it.
It's pretty amazing to me that they were aware of that. It seems like one of those things that you would come across later on, but the fact that, like, that was an eagerly anticipated debut for you to come. They were waiting. Like, we get this guy up here.
Yeah.
We're going to corner the market on the first hyphenated player in Major League history. I do have to ask you, when you filmed those commercials, and the Seattle Mariners used to do hysterical commercials every year.
Yeah, they did.
The ones with, with Ken Griffey Jr. gluing Ichiro to the chair, and you can find them all on YouTube. They're fantastic. Did you, after that, like, did Daniel Day-Lewis call you for acting tips or anything? Like, was you're just getting Tom Hanks? It's like, man, I need to capture the magic that you've got.
Well, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of offers. I said, listen, I'm still. One of the
still focus on baseball.
Yeah, I'm still one of the best pitchers in the game. Not, but once I get done with that, my career won't be long. I promise. No, it was good times. But I will say, my wife Amanda, she's done some acting. She's been in quite a few TV shows and movies, and she actually helped me out. We got the lines and we practiced.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, I took it very seriously.
That's
yes.
pretty cool. You did a good job.
Appreciate
and I
it.
have told you this before. That was my first ever exposure to Ryan Rowland-Smith.
Oh, really?
Because I grew up watching National League ball. I didn't catch a whole lot of M's games. That was the first I remember watching when the Mariners would come out with those commercials every year. Because the team that I grew up watching, the Colorado Rockies, they later hired the same production company to do commercials for them, so they always did funny ones as well. And when those came out every March, I would watch all those commercials.
Right.
And I remember seeing that one and thinking it was pretty funny because the Bartolo Colon joke at the end is outstanding.
Yeah.
I'm always good with any good punctuation humor. That was the first I ever knew of him.
Oh, well, there you go.
Those are my pre-Australian Baseball League days.
How about that?
And now here we are.
Wow.
What year would that have been? 08, 09?
That was 2000. That one was 2010.
Okay.
2010. That's
Okay.
right. Yeah.
As soon as it came up, you dropped your head like, oh, here we go. Oh, man. That was fantastic. And Ryan is now available for all of your acting needs. You can contact him.
Acting, coaching as well.
And, yeah, coaching as well. He does. He is a Renaissance man of many talents. So, here we are in the top of the fourth inning. Isaac Bernard with a leadoff ground out to second base to get things started. What was do you have a favorite of those commercials from back in the day?
Yeah, I mean, there was always, I'm trying to think. There was a couple before I got to the big leagues, I remember, that were just awesome. Some guys who you look up, like Brett Boone, I remember, had the bat flip. Back in the day.
Yeah.
So he was flipping everything. He'd flip like his toothbrush. There was some good ones. That is
I do remember that. I think I remember a funny one with Jamie Moyer, but I don't remember what the plot of that one was.
Well, he threw so slow, so it was
Yes.
kilometers per hour, not miles per hour. There's something along those lines. I'm trying to remember. Good stuff.
Yeah, the one with Ichiro and Ken Griffey Jr. a few years ago, which Ichiro actually referenced in his Mariners Hall of Fame induction.
That was the same year as that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 2010.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Luis Montealto. Gabriel Barbosa trying to steady things on the mound for Brazil. And what a stab by Vitor Ito out at short. Throw to first on the big hop is in time to get Montealto.
Well, we talked about Ito being a threat with the speed. Look at the range at shortstop. And then setting his feet. Good arm, too. You're thinking to yourself, if you're going to be flat-footed in that hole, are you going to have the arm strength? He sure did. I've got to say, too, Gabriel Barbosa, right before that play, man, what a difference he has made for this Brazilian team. You have Tokar coming out, just not setting any kind of tone, scuffling to get through. Barbosa comes in, loaded bases, gets out of it. Now he's absolutely cruising.
And there's a line drive into center field. That is the first base runner that Barbosa has allowed. He had retired 7 straight before Brandon Leighton comes through with a 2-out single.
And as I was saying that from Barbosa, gives up a fastball, middle of the plate, gets hit. But I've got to say, just regardless of the base hit, Barbosa, just the command of more than the fastball has been so key against these hitters. Remember, they will chase a ton.
So 2 outs, and it brings up Milcar Perez, a guy who, of everybody on this squad, does not chase a lot, and yet he has struck out twice so far here tonight. I also, and we'll have the time for sincerity hours later, but I also have to thank you for something, because I feel as though I've been very selfish. People don't know that up in this booth, the windows only slide to one side or the other,
right.
And you took one for the team. You've had 2 window panes in front of you this entire week, and especially after watching Heitor Tokar struggle with the glasses, and you mentioned that you've had that issue before. Now I feel like maybe I'm like triggering old things, or they got to stare through these panes of glass. Now I feel bad. I've had the open window, this gorgeous vista in front of us.
Well, the entire crew already knows how much I've complained about the fact that I've had to suck it up with these window panes in front of me. I mean, how can I work in these conditions? I can barely see the game.
Texting our producer, Tim Pryor, on the side, like, you got to get me out of here. You got to get me out of this booth.
We have to be in separate booths.
1 ball and no strikes, and a check on the runner at first. Back in safely is Leighton. Milcar Perez, a guy in the same organization that produced the first hyphenated big league player in Major League history. The man to my right, Ryan Rowland-Smith, Seattle Mariners prospect. There are a few different stops on the Mariners ladder now, making the climb up throughout the minor leagues from where the affiliates were when Ryan played. But Milcar Perez starting to make that climb with Loe Modesto, team in the California League. That's where he spent his time this year. Didn't get to play the full season, and now trying to get some off-season at-bats here and help his team to the World Baseball Classic. Runner off before first movement, and Barbosa never saw it. And Leighton takes second. Wow.
And this is a product too of Barbosa just not switching up your timing to home plate. Usually you want to pause for a second, then 2 seconds, move your head around a little bit. He was automatic every single pitch. Nicaragua picked up on that real quick.
So another man in scoring position. Nicaragua left 2 on in the first, stranded the bases loaded in the second, retired in order in the third. They got a man out there with 2 outs and 2 strikes here in the fourth, and a ground ball too short. Ito for the final out of the inning, and Nicaragua will strand another one. We will head into the bottom of the fourth. Having fun in Panama City. Bottom of the fourth inning in Panama City, back at Estadio Rod Carew. These Brazil fans on the third base side hoping their team can give them something to get pumped about as we move through 3.5. Tyler Vaughn alongside Ryan Rowland-Smith. You told me this, I asked you this in Germany. Did anybody call you the hyphen before that commercial?
No.
Okay.
No,
that was the start of it.
Yeah, that was a big Mariners thing. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm like, hey, enough of this hyphen stuff. I want people to, know me for being a good pitch. Not the fact that I have a hyphen in my name, but it was a lot of fun, man. I mean, that's the one thing they do such a good job of, the Seattle Mariners. Building up their players. Hey, I will say this too. Now, we've seen a ton of Edwin Diaz and Tommy Trumpet, right?
Yes.
And so the Mets have...
Another Australian guy, by the way, Timmy Trumpet.
Is he?
Yeah.
Timmy Trumpet? That's his name? He's Australian?
He is.
I had no idea.
Well, now you know.
I do have to give the Mariners a shout out here. They were the ones who started that song for him. That was his walkout song back at T-Mobile Park.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and they had a whole video and everything. And then Edwin Diaz went to the Mets. He changed his walk-up song, his song,
his entrance song.
And then he went back to it. He said, you know what, I was having success back in Seattle. I want this song back.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, then the Mets
now it's the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I did not know that.
Right.
I did not know that that was his song in Seattle. When I lived in Sydney and worked for the Sydney Blue Sox in the Australian Baseball League, now longtime big leaguer Didi Gregorius, that first season of the ABL, was a member of the Canberra Cavalry. And when he came to the plate, I would play that Notorious B.I.G. song.
Yeah.
Notorious, because it rhymed with Gregorius. And when he made it to the big leagues, he used that song. And I thought, I gave Didi Gregorius his walk-up song? This is amazing. And I did not. He said, somebody tagged him on Twitter one time and said, where'd you get that song from? And he said his first pro ball season, he was in Billings, Montana in the Pioneer League, and they gave it to him. So I'm just some hack who ripped it off. Thought I was so cool. Not at all. 3 balls and a strike on the leadoff man, Leonardo Reginato, here out of the cleanup spot, getting things started in the bottom of the 4th inning.
You know, we referenced this in the first inning with Brazil. Yeah, I'm not going to say they're exhausted, but a little flat after last night. We said, just pay attention, 3rd or 4th inning. Are they going to be in that cruise control where they're just kind of getting through this game? Not much energy. This is an important part. You want to break that a little bit. You want to start just hitting some balls, getting some base runners on, getting something going so you can look back in that dugout from second base and get your team fired up.
They loaded the bases in the bottom of the 1st inning, didn't get anybody home, and then went down in order in the 2nd and 3rd. And now here in the 4th, leadoff man on with the walk in the person of Reginato, and Lopes at the plate. Christian will take strike 1. Spain started that final game against the Czech Republic with a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the 1st. They got a leadoff double by Angel Beltre. He came home 2 batters later on a sacrifice fly by Justin Connell. And that was it for the night. Czech Republic scored 2 in the 2nd on a homer by Martin Mujic, and then added another one on a leadoff homer by Marek Klup in the 4th. And I remember we said, 3 runs is not going to be enough.
Right.
And somehow the Czech Republic got it across the line, and it just felt like Spain could never break through.
Yeah.
That big hit never came. They stranded the bases loaded in the 4th. They left a man on in the 5th, 2 on in the 7th, 1 on in the 8th, and then they had 2 on in the 9th when Beltre grounded out to end that game. And that was the thing missing, was the key hit. They had base runners, they had some knocks, but they never got the key moment accomplished. And for Brazil right now, they've had very little to speak of offensively.
And you're starting to see Brazil lay off pitches just like this. That's a tough pitch left. That's a changeup. Looks like it's in the middle of the plate. That's a pitch I was swinging at 2 innings ago. And the other factor is as well, Osman Gutierrez, let's not forget, he did throw 3 innings with just a couple days off. And I know it was only 36 pitches, but it's the up and down. There could be some fatigue. And we know about these tournaments. Your leash is much shorter. This is the time to jump all over him.
Popped up foul ground, first base side. One gone. There is a right-hander throwing in that bullpen down the right field line for Nicaragua. And with 1 gone, it'll bring up Lucas Rojo.
He's only at 48 pitches right now, 29 strikes. But these are those moments where you can take advantage, just get something moving. And I think to Nicaragua, you're going to see matchup after matchup as soon as they get to that bullpen.
Again, there is no 3-batter minimum here in the World Baseball Classic. So yeah, you can play matchup ball as much as possible. 14 pitchers on each of these rosters. Now, not everybody is available today, as we noted earlier, as Lucas Rojo takes strike 1. But there certainly are a lot of arms out there for Steve Finley and Sandro Guido to choose from, the managers of Brazil and Nicaragua, respectively. Here's the 0-1. 1-1.
Osman Gutierrez, he's starting to slow down that tempo in between pitches, starting to labor just a little bit. This is where you really lean heavily on that adrenaline, get you through, knowing what is at stake. Comes down to this one game, get to that World Baseball Classic.
1-1. Good pitch, 1-2.
Yeah, that's a weapon. That changeup, man. The arm speed, it's 82 miles per hour. It has that same spin as that sinking fastball as well. Same direction.
We talked about that. You were discussing Trevor Hoffman the other day when we were talking about another changeup, and the arm speed is just the thing that is the most effective weapon.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, when you're teaching a kid a changeup, a lot of them want to have that Bugs Bunny pitch, that movement. It's not about that at all. The best changeups in the world is you are getting the hitter out via arm speed. And for Trevor Hoffman, too, you look at the movement. There wasn't a whole lot of movement. It was just a straight changeup, but you just cannot pick that pitch up at all.
It really is pretty incredible. We've talked so much about Mariano Rivera here in Panama, but the fact that the two greatest closers of all time really did it with very simple arsenal.
Yeah, for sure.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Rojo. Swing and a miss. Got him chasing that one. 2 gone.
Yeah, and then he pairs it with this. This is that slider. We saw more of this early on in this game. You have that fastball get ahead. You throw that changeup in and half of the plate. Or you get back to that slider hit, if you're Osman Gutierrez, and he's dialed in right now. Felt like Brazil get that leadoff runner on, maybe something brewing, maybe some kind of momentum. Only 2 hits.
Brazil's offense has just been unable to find its big gear over the last 2 nights. This is 5 hits combined between last night's 4-0 shutout loss to Panama and the start to this one tonight. And, you know, again, very different circumstances, but we talked a lot about Spain running out of gas on the final day, and we're way far from the end of this one. But the emotional exhaustion. For Spain, it was having a lead going into the bottom of the 9th, blowing that game with a game-tying homer in the 9th, losing in the 10th. For Brazil, you're out here last night for 9 exhausting innings. You've got this massive crowd in the house. They're loud. They're constantly into the game. You can't get anything going. And then less than 24 hours later, you got to wipe that out and try to come back out here and get into gear. And they just haven't been able to do it yet.
And you're facing a team that you've beat. So you do have that confidence, but you feel like, oh, you know what? We're going to get some hits and we're going to take care of business. Just like Spain with Czech Republic. I mean, the fact that Spain was nearly 20, well, we're 15 runs ahead of them at one point. You know, I'm talking about early on in that qualifier.
21-7 was the final score in that first matchup. And in the most that's baseball thing that we've maybe seen through these 2 qualifiers, Czech Republic bounced back and got a 3-1 win in the last game in Germany to qualify for its first World Baseball Classic. A ball and 2 strikes now on Daniel Molinari. 4 strikeouts tonight for Osman Gutierrez, who is going for his 5th. Leadoff walk to Reginato, the first one that Gutierrez issued tonight. Check of the runner, and he's ready to go on 1-2. Maybe not.
You can see Osman Gutierrez shaking a couple pitches off and shaking to get to that slider. I guarantee it. Feels good with that with 2 strikes.
Here comes a 1-2. Into the dirt, blocked there by Novoa, but a good jump, and the throw is not going to be in time to get Reginato. Trying to fire up that dugout.
Yeah, just one moment, just one little event to get your team fired up. You can see the reaction beating that throw. And his first thought, look straight in that dugout, try and fire up his teammates.
That was much closer at second than I initially thought it was going to be, but a good read by Reginato. I mean, that's a cleanup hitter and a third baseman making the read on that ball in the dirt. Trying to get something started for his team with the tying run at the plate here in the bottom of the 4th. 2-2 on the way from Gutierrez. Slow bouncer, left side. Milcar Perez sees it go under his glove, and here comes Reginato. He will score, and Brazil is onto the board. It's a 2-1 game in the 4th.
And just like that, Brazil have got something cooking. on a 21 hopper in the infield. This ball just died as soon as it hit that ground. You could see Molinari just getting up that line. You know what? You don't have to thump him in to score runs, but you'll take them. That is for sure.
That does go as an error charge to Milcar Perez over at third. So no RBI for Daniel Molinari, but he doesn't care. He got the run in, and that's what matters. And for Brazil, I mean, how big is the wild pitch now? That put Reginato at second.
Yeah, it really is. And for Gutierrez, was a strike away. You saw he actually shook to that slider, then he stepped off. Navoa came out, then they switched it up. They went back to that changeup, couldn't get him. And good at bat from Molinari, too.
Bouncing ball foul off the bat of Fernando Luciano.
Okay.
Some tense moments in that first base dugout for Nicaragua. This team trying to make it through to their first ever World Baseball Classic. They won 2 games in the qualifiers back in 2017. Brazil made it through the qualifiers in 2013. Trying to reach the WBC for the second time. And the 0-1 fouled away. It's 0-2. We were talking pregame with a Panama fan who said, oh, I can tell you everybody here is going for Nicaragua tonight.
Right. Yeah.
We said, oh, why is that? And he said, well, Brazil eliminated Panama in 2013, and we have not forgotten it.
All the more reason, too. And, you know, we didn't have this information last night about how they feel about, you know, obviously taking that personally, these fans. I mean, can you imagine watching last night Brazil, Panama, that big home run when we had Carlos Lee here in the booth? Going back to that 2013 World Baseball Classic.
A guy who was on that roster in 2013, Carlos Lee, and who broke some news here in the booth last night. Ryan asked if Carlos Lee had been approached about coaching for this staff, and he just very nonchalantly threw out there like, if they make it through this, I'll probably be there.
But he kind of did the double. He looked at us like, what, was I supposed to be saying that?
1-2 in the air on the infield. Brandon Leighton squeezes it for the final out. But Brazil is onto the board, and we will head to the top of the 5th. 2-1 our score in Panama City. Nicaragua leads. The World Baseball Classic qualifying rounds are wrapping up here in Panama, and you can watch our final contest for free. Catch all the action live on worldbaseballclassic.com and by following at WBC Baseball on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That guy in the middle just smashing beers. Who was that guy? Look at that long, white-haired flow. Hanging out with our buddy Andy Brown, who painted a magnificent portrait of Ryan and I in the booth. The other dude, it's my dad.
Hanging out with you in Panama, made the trip.
Hanging out. we've been having some fun. My dad and I are going to spend a couple of days here in Panama before we head back home. And pretty cool. I've never had my dad along for one of these international baseball trips. I got destroyed by Ryan's dad over the phone yesterday in a little moment of, you know, I did honestly take it as a badge of honor. You get roasted by an Australian, it's like, oh, you're in.
A couple things, though. You hit the gym today.
I did. I was so self-conscious.
I can't believe it.
Oh,
no.
Oh, okay. I can't believe you even know how to lift weights.
No, you just kind of like discreetly said, oh, yeah, you know, went had some lunch, went to the gym. I was like, hold on a minute.
Well, as you and I have discussed, we have some fairly long days during these qualifiers. We rarely get the time. And today I thought, you know what? I'm in this lovely hotel. I should probably do some sort of exercise. So I attempted to be physically fit. But it's amazing. I worked out one time. I can bench 450, and I got a six-pack now.
There you go.
It was incredible.
That's how it works.
It's incredible work. 2 balls and a strike on the Nicaragua leadoff man, Chesler Cuthbert, here in the 5th. Rope foul down the left field line. Andy Brown, our friend the artist, who you saw in that shot as well, he actually went into the production truck last night and painted the scene of the in-game production, and that was very cool. Our producer, Tim Fryer, was so gracious to let Andy hang out and paint the whole landscape. I can't imagine that it's real easy to capture that. I mean, I can't imagine it's easy to do anything that Andy does. But he immediately, you look at it and you're like, oh, it's a production truck. Like, he just got it somehow, and it is so cool. You can find him on social media at Andy B as an artist. He posted that picture today. He's at Andy Brown as an artist on Instagram. Posted that painting today. Tim and all the guys from Medcom down in the truck who have done such awesome work. Andrew Perez, our technical manager as well. Such awesome work from all these guys this week. Tim is very much the, you know, in the middle of the Last Supper painting. You've got where your focus, the eye is drawn. Tim is the hero in the in Andy's painting.
Well, that were the conditions.
Deservedly so.
He said, listen, you can come in the truck, but I'm going to be front row center.
You got to make me look good.
That's right.
I got to be taller than everybody.
He had some extra hair. He all of a sudden lost a few pounds.
So did I. Andy made me look much better than I have looked in quite some time. And the painting he did of us up here, 3-2 swung on and missed. And Cuthbert is retired for the first time today. And the leadoff man is gone.
Now I got to say, Gabriel Barbosa started the game, the first game we watched against New Zealand, but he has looked fantastic getting his team back in the dugout in that second inning. That could have been floodgates opening up, Nicaragua running away with this. Wasn't the case. Big reason this is a one-run game right now is that man on the mound.
Barbosa was one of the guys that LaTroy Hawkins, the pitching coach for Brazil, singled out to us pregame today. He said, oh, he's going to be really good. And Barbosa currently pitching in one of Hawkins's former organizations, the Colorado Rockies system. 20-year-old deals that one fouled away by Elmer Reyes, and it's quickly 0-2 on Nicaragua's second baseman.
Yeah, there's really nothing straight. There's really nothing middle either. You see he's commanding 3+ pitches.
So Troy Hawkins on the left of your screen with Brazil's manager, Steve Finley. Oh, 2 pitch on the way. Cracked foul. We'll do it again.
And that's one thing the Minnesota Twins in the last 2 decades have done such a good job developing strike throwers. You know, it's not guys who blow you away with gas, you know, 100 with nasty sliders coming out of that organization. But that, yeah, even I was back there, and I remember 2005. And I remember back then that was the core of how they developed their pitches. The ability to command 3 different pitches inside the strike zone. And it's always been that way, even until now, with LaTroy Hawkins being one of their special assistants, working with a lot of the young players.
LaTroy told us he's done work for so long with Tiago Caldera, the assistant pitching coach on this team, and he said, I'm really hoping to get him over to spring training this year so he can see how things operate in big league spring training, as the 0-2 is skied in the air to shallow center. The shortstop Ito makes the call on the catch. 2 gone. And he said, because the knowledge that he can get in a circumstance like that and then take back to Brazil is so invaluable. That is a huge component of what you can build things around going forward for a national team program like this.
Yeah, and just being around, high-level coaching, even if it's for a month. You see that all the time. You see coaches, I've seen Australian coaches get a chance to go spend a month, and they come back with just absolute sponges, come back with so much knowledge. And what that does to your junior program, and up on through to this roster. And again, you can just see changing speeds and everything inside the strike zone. Again, we get so caught up in swings and misses. That's the one big evaluator now, especially when you're developing pitches. How many times can I miss these bats? But there's such a premium when you can throw 2, 3+ pitches in the strike zone and get weak contact just like that.
And another pop into foul ground on the first base side will wrap things up here in the 5th. Nicaragua starting to go a little quiet offensively. Right at the bottom of the 5th, 2-1. Brazil playing for a trip to the World Baseball Classic for the 2nd time in their history. And baseball history in Brazil actually started due to Japanese influence in the early part of the 20th century. Jose Pet was the first player from Brazil to sign with a big league club in 1992. Baseball World Cup participants in 2003. And by 2012, Brazil had produced a major leaguer in Yan Gomes, the first of 3 to arrive on the big league scene. He's the only one of those 3 to not be on this roster for Brazil. Andre Rienzo, the first pitcher born in Brazil to make the major leagues, got the start last night for this team. And Paulo Orlando has been the designated hitter every night until tonight. And as we get things started here on the bottom of the 5th inning, leadoff man for Brazil is Daniel Chibana, who's taken over in the 9 spot as the DH. Chibana, I believe, going with the old school. He's got the hat on under the helmet.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
I used to rock that look back in the day.
Same here.
Yeah.
Chibana 0 for 1. He grounded out back to the mound in the 2nd inning. You know, Ryan, we were talking about Brazil and building this national team program before the break, as a pop over to the left side will settle into the glove of Brandon Leighton, 1 up, 1 down. And you mentioned, you know, the things that you can do at the junior levels in addition to what you can do just at these higher levels. Brazil has had some success in recent years taking part in some of the Youth World Cup events. They just played in the U18 Baseball World Cup in Florida a couple of weeks ago, and they actually finished tied for the 5th best record in that event at 4-4. And you know, it's similar. We've got an event coming up on the Youth World Cup side, the U23 Baseball World Cup. Your country, Australia, in the first edition of that one made it all the way to the World Championship final. They lost to Japan, but they played for a championship in that one in 2016. That's really so much of where the foundation gets laid. When you start having success at U12, U15, U18, and those players grow up and they start inspiring people around them to join the fight to grow baseball in a country, that stuff is hugely important.
Yeah, it is. Well, first of all, for the individual to get, those kind of reps at that kind of level, and especially when you're a non-baseball country, we've talked about this quite a bit throughout these qualifiers, you just, at any age, you just don't see the same velocities as you would if you've grown up in the USA or the Dominican Republic or Venezuela. You don't see that high velo, and they don't throw it either. And they figure out real quick when you run into those junior players or your coach, you're like, man, the rest of the world throws really hard. Well, these guys can hit. These guys can launch balls into the seats at this age. And you get that feeling like, man, we're a step behind. And it just forces you to adjust. The other thing is as well, and again, from Australia or Brazil, you have to open that door to college programs. You have to widen that net. I think the one thing, in Australia, the one hard situation was you're either a professional player, and that's that top 0.5%, or you stay in Australia. And I think that the minute you can go maybe to a JUCO or a D2 or a smaller D1 program, or even some of the big, the big powerhouse programs around the country, first of all, it widens that net. So you get those extra reps and that chance to really develop. Because a lot of kids, when you think about it, 16, 17 years old, some guys just take longer to develop.
2-2. Maciel unable to hold up there. He's gone on strikes. We got a new third baseman in the game for Nicaragua. Benjamin Alegria has taken over a third.
There's that changeup again coming to life these last couple innings. That usage has gone through the roof. He's got a good feel for that, especially the lefties.
There he is, the new third baseman for Nicaragua. So the day has come to a close for Milcar Perez, who scuffled a little bit, 0 for 3, and also committed an error over on the third base side. So Alegria, the more veteran third baseman, takes over there. We talked about that with Pakistan, with that roster, the fact that you've got young players who, even if they're players who primarily have played cricket, if you can start communicating to those players and their families like, hey, if you get good at this baseball thing, there are a lot of opportunities for you to go get an education out of it.
Well, that was always a sell, for me going back to Australia, was just kind of showing how quote-unquote cool baseball players are and how much
Except you.
Exactly. Don't look at me. Look at Mike Trout. Good one. I like it. But it's true, and I'm not knocking cricket whatsoever. But again, you mentioned it. The fact you can play all over the world, you can make a lot of money. You can get a D1 scholarship. All these different avenues there is to play baseball, and you try and sell that to a 12-year-old to get him away from some of these other sports, some of these good athletes. You picture me rolling into a school to talk to kids about playing baseball.
I'm happy that one.
Look how cool I am.
You got the rec specs on.
Yeah.
Still, they're fogging up in a school gymnasium. You got your hyphen T-shirt on from the commercial. I don't know, man. Sounds pretty cool to me.
Yeah.
2-1 pitch. Grounded out to short. And Leighton will throw out his counterpart Ito, and that retires the side. Here in the fifth, 3 up, 3 down goes Brazil. We're going to the sixth in a 2-1 Nicaragua lead. Well, due to the interests of American businessmen back in the 1800s, baseball was introduced to the country of Nicaragua. And by 1891, they were playing official games there. They actually converted a couple of old cricket clubs and made them into baseball clubs. In the 1900s, United States Marines credited with popularizing the sport during the occupation of Nicaragua. From 2013 to 2017, these two teams, or this team has played in the last two qualifiers. Now, that was at the end of last inning. Nicaragua got all together in front of that dugout on the first base side. And the other day, you and I were talking, and you said there are some times when you are pitching well as a starter, and you do kind of want to have that pep talk moment where you get everybody together and say, like, all right, well, let's get this going now.
Yeah, and I mean, there's been moments, especially playing in this World Baseball Classic. I remember being in Tokyo, and you're playing against Team Japan, and you're down a couple runs, and you just kind of hit that, hit that flat spot where there's just nothing doing energy-wise. And this has been times where I haven't been pitched. I've been down the other end of the dugout, and you just want to pull everyone out, get them in the huddle like they're in Little League, like you see literally in every inning in Little League. And just kind of look each other in the eye and just break the mold a little bit. Yeah. Change the pattern that's going on. And I think for Nicaragua doing that, I mean, you think about it, it's a sixth inning right now, 2-1. It's kind of, this game's kind of flatlined a little bit in regards to offense. Get them charged up, change what's happening, because you only have a couple more chances of this to really put this game away.
And, we really felt like the first inning, oh, here comes Nicaragua. This is the team that we've been waiting on. They had 2 runs on 3 hits. They left 2 on in the first inning. Since then, they've had 2 hits. Both of them have been singles. Only 1 base runner since the third. It just has not gone that way. And for Nicaragua, this has been a tournament in which we've looked at it and thought, all right, maybe this team is just going to miss out on too many opportunities. Melvin Novoa, maybe he's a guy to get it started. He's already had a big swing.
Yeah, and take a look at this on Friday. You're thinking to yourself, okay, this is going to ignite that offense.
Yeah.
And, there was a home run, then there was a double right after. Okay, here comes Nicaragua, but there's nothing doing. They've had some trouble getting in sync and heating up offensively as a group.
7 combined hits in this game, 5 on the Nicaragua side, but as noted, 3 of those came in the first inning, and it's a 3-ball, 2-strike count now on Melvin Novoa. Yeah, that really felt like, all right, now this team is going to get it rolling. Brazil had, bounced out and gotten started quickly in that game. They got a run in the first. Nicaragua had tied it in the third, but that was it. Nicaragua only had 4 hits in that game, and Novoa ropes this one foul into the seats. The talent is very obviously there for both of these lineups, but these pitching staffs have done a really great job keeping hitters off balance.
And I'll tell you what, if you're Heitor Toka, who started this game, couldn't get out of the second inning, man, you are sitting in that clubhouse or that dugout right now, doing your rehab, your recovery, whatever it may be, and you're looking at the score going, man, am I going to be the reason right now that we're down 2-1 and we just never recovered? Again, changing speeds. This is what Barbosa does so well. He will not beat you with velocity, but you just see nothing but weak contact and off-balance swings and a big strikeout.
Since he entered with 2 gone in the second inning, he has retired 11 of the 12 men he's faced. Brandon Layton singled with 2 outs in the 4th and stole second, and that was it. He was left aboard. Otherwise, Barbosa has been lights out. Two and 0 on Bermudez. Barbosa pitched part of this year with the rookie-level Arizona League Rockies and spent some time at Single-A Fresno as well. Just 1 game there, but he allowed 3 runs on 7 hits over 5 innings, struck out 3 and walked 1. Made his professional debut in 2019. And a 3-0 there for a strike. 2-1. Well struck to center, but not well enough. Brings in Maciel, 2 gone. And Steve Finley out of the third base dugout. Looked as though he was going to go out and get Barbosa, but then he traded places with LaTroy Hawkins, and Hawk and Thiago Caldera out for the visit with Barbosa. As the infield gathers around, and they will go to the bullpen. So, Brazil gets absolutely brilliant work from the 20-year-old right-hander Gabriel Barbosa, and he's going to get a lot of hugs and handshakes from the guys in that third base dugout. We move along in the top of the 6th. Brazil go to the bullpen. Nicaragua with a 2-1 lead. Left-hander Oscar Nakaoshi is the latest arm into the game for Brazil, as Gabriel Barbosa was flat out cruising and departs this game to set up a lefty-lefty matchup with Isaac Bernard coming to the plate. What an impressive outing from Barbosa.
Yeah, it really was. He just steadied the ship. I mean, you got Heitor Toca, who started this game, just had nothing going, laboring, putting their team in that 2-run deficit, and all of a sudden, your boy Barbosa, he looks so good. And coming in with loaded bases with 2 outs when Nicaragua had some serious momentum.
Yeah, trusting that to a 20-year-old gives you the idea of the confidence that this Brazil staff has in Barbosa, and he did his job for 4 innings in this game. A swing and a miss to make it 0-2 against Isaac Bernard.
We saw Nakayoshi a couple nights ago against Nicaragua, 2 2/3, gave up a hit and struck out.
Bernard a walk to lead things off in the 2nd. He was stranded aboard at third base in that inning as Nicaragua left the bases loaded. Since then, they have only had 1 base runner. Here comes a 1-2. It's almost like the energy of this game has been so back and forth stressful that these fans don't really know what to do as of yet. 2-2. Nicaragua's got a good contingent over on that first base side, and they were raucous in the first inning, but since then it's been a lot of frustration. And for Brazil, just 2 hits in this game, They were able to bring in their first run without the benefit of a hit in the fourth to cut this to a one-run game. 2-2 pitch on the way to Bernard. 3 balls and 2 strikes. That one just missing. Molinari was set up outside, and it came back inside.
Yeah, that was a mistake. He was trying to go down and away again. And he front-doored that slider.
Nakaoshi ready. 3-2 on the infield. Leonardo Reginato making the call and the catch, and that retires the side. Another inning down in order. We're having fun in Panama City as we head to the bottom of the 6th in a tight one. Nicaragua 2 and Brazil 1. That guy's going to challenge Ryan to a limbo contest postgame. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of World Baseball Classic Incorporated and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Back at Estadio Nacional, Rod Carew, as we head into the bottom of the 6th inning, the pitch count is becoming a factor on the mound for Osman Gutierrez, who has been outstanding through 5 innings, but as we head into the 6th, he is creeping up on that 85 pitch limit, as this one is number 77, but he may get an out on his first pitch of the 6th, as calling and making the grab is Cheslor Cuthbert, who made it interesting and has a laugh for his infield, 1 gone.
You mentioned that pitch count. That definitely helps. Coming into the 6th, getting that 1 pitch, 1 out. You know, losing your footing, didn't lose the ball, 1 out.
The other thing that's just so enjoyable about the World Baseball Classic is how much fun these guys have with each other. Obviously, it's a little more fun when you're the team in the lead, but this is a tense game, and for Cheslor Cuthbert to be able to at least share a laugh with Melvin Novoa there, this event is just so infectious with the love of this game that everybody out on that field has.
Yeah, you mentioned sharing a laugh, and also, you know, sharing that pride too of your country. You know, Miguel Batista, I want to bring this up again. Back in Germany, we've had a chance to talk to him a couple times, but he made that quote, and I'll never forget it. He said, "These are rosters that money can't buy," and he was referring to Team USA, Dominican Republic, Venezuela. You're talking superstar on top of superstar in those rosters, which, again, if you're a major league organization, you, A, couldn't afford that, and 2, it's a situation where you can't buy what it brings to have all those players who share that common bond and represent their country the way they do.
You know, it's the same way the Olympic basketball teams are assembled. You wouldn't have a roster with the guys who play for their countries and the women who play for their countries in Olympic basketball because there aren't enough touches for everybody. But when you're playing for your country, it's different than if you're playing for your job. And that's what makes the World Baseball Classic so much different. You mentioned all those countries, you know, Japan and Korea are the same way. And this is going to be an interesting roster construction process for Korea this year. Leonardo Regginato flares one into center. He's got his 8th hit of this qualifier, and he's on for the 3rd time tonight with a 1-out single in the 6th.
Yeah, he has been raking. He's been hitting balls hard, and he's been hitting balls where they ain't, just like this. They just need some support around him. The middle of this lineup was such a threat early on. It's gone a little cold at the moment, besides Regginato. I'll say, too, when it comes to offense as well, like, you construct these rosters, you don't get a whole lot of time to work with your team as a group. We know about the affiliated players are not allowed to play exhibitions before they step onto the World Baseball Classic field. So you have such a small window that you just hope that that offense is there. You hope that that offense is all hitting the stride at the same time.
Pop-up first pitch left side. And Osman Gutierrez may very well get through this inning.
And especially when you have games like this where all of a sudden you realize for Osman Gutierrez, you are just doing him favors. If you are going to come out swinging at pitches away from the middle of the plate and just allow him to get that weak contact and get deep in this game, because you know that bullpen in Nicaragua, we've seen it, it is good. It'll just match you up to death and finish this game off.
Yeah, that was pitch number 81. Why you're not climbing in and trying to take at least a little bit to get Gutierrez out of this game is a bit surprising. And with 2 gone, here's Lucas Rojo.
And you know what, too? You know, look, hitting is tough, as we all know. But there's certain things you can control when you're hitting. And one of those is some of that plate discipline.
And a pop-up again. Foul ground, first base side. 3 pop-outs on the infield and masterful work from Osman Gutierrez. We are headed to the 7th. Nicaragua 2, Brazil 1. Nicaragua's fans are having fun, but it has been a tense one, and Brazil's fans not giving up. A 2-1 game as we head into the top of the 7th inning back at Estadio Rod Carew. Alongside the former Major Leaguer and Team Australia pitcher Ryan Rowland-Smith, my name is Tyler Vaughn. Sandro Guido trying to get his guys across the line as Nicaragua got a 2-0 lead in the top of the 1st inning. Brazil responded with 1 in the bottom of the 4th, and that is where this game stands as we head into the 7th. 9-1-2 for Nicaragua. Luis Monte Alto is the leadoff man. Nicaragua has had 1 hit since the 2nd. That was a 2-out single by Brandon Laytone in the 4th. He was left aboard, 7 straight retired. 13 of the last 14. And first pitch swinging, a fly ball to shallow left field. And nobody makes the call or the catch. And Luis Monte Alto is safe at 2nd. What on earth?
I mean, this ball was hanging up there for a long time, and those looks towards each other, like, okay, who's got it, who's got it? And you can see right here, Martial has got way too far to run. This is a situation Tim Lopes has to take control and catch that ball.
Yeah, Tim Lopes looked to be there in way more than enough time. And, I mean, that ball was almost straight away left field. It's not as though that was something directly into the alleyway that you would expect the center fielder to be making the call to take charge on.
Yeah, and Tyler, we've talked about some of the things that these teams are not doing that keep in their driver's seat. For example, Sandro Guito, you can see him walking back and forth. He's animated because he does it as 2-1 lead. He's starting to get some of that energy in the dugout. But you think to yourself, first of all, Nicaragua haven't had a hit since, what, the 4th inning. And then haven't had a base runner. And then all of a sudden, Brazil have just gone flat offensively. So, man, you don't want this game figured out if you're going to get that World Baseball Classic based on things that you didn't do well. And that's a big, big part of this 7th inning right now.
And especially such a head-scratching thing as well, as the leadoff base runner in scoring position now, and Sandro Guito hoping his guys can take advantage here in the top half of the 7th. And that was as lazy a fly ball as it gets. And Luis Montealto ends up at second base on what goes as the 6th hit of the day for Nicaragua. And the first extra base hit since the RBI double by Dwight Britton all the way back in the top of the 1st. He fouled at the plate there. Brandon Leighton, who had the last hit for Nicaragua prior to that double with his 2-out single in the 4th.
I got to say, LaTroy Hawkins, again, talking to him how calm he is no matter what. You talked about that last night. I'm telling you right now, he's done a great job of staying calm after a play like that. It's so hard when you're pitching in this situation not to anchor on that moment, because all of a sudden you get that weak fly ball with one pitch, and now in the back of your mind you get the thoughts swimming around your head like, man, there's no way I should be pitching with a runner on second right now.
Ball and 2 strikes as Leighton continues to battle here. What a strange way for this inning to start. And for Nicaragua, I mean, we have talked throughout their run here in the qualifier of missed opportunities, and this is one you cannot afford to miss out on. You've got a leadoff base runner that you really shouldn't have out in scoring position and nobody out. You got to be able to cash this in if you're tonight's visiting team. And that one comes in tight, and it hits Brandon Leighton. The 3rd hit batsman of the night combined, and that continues to be a major theme, and it's 1st and 2nd with nobody out.
This is a pretty good pitch, too, inner half of the plate. See how much that elbow is over the dish. Just taking off the elbow guard. He'll take that all day, especially when you're innings away from qualifying.
So now an opportunity for Benjamin Alegria. In this circumstance, are you looking for that bunt?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think, right now in this situation, if you're playing defense, there's nothing else going on in your head as to where do I go to get that out. It's important right now for Brazil. Priority number 1, get an out somewhere.
Alegria already squares. Here comes the pitch. And the bunt is a good one. A perfect one over to 3rd. And the sacrifice successful. It's 2nd and 3rd with 1 out.
And how big is this 1 run? When you're in a game like this, 7th inning, it's been a struggle to get anything happening offensively.
What a massive moment coming up here. And they are going to intentionally walk Cheslor Cuthbert. Not wanting to deal with him, they'll go to work against Elmer Reyes. So it loads the bases with 1 out and sets up the force play anywhere here in the top of the 7th.
And this is the right play here to walk him. You got that open base. Obviously, it forces the runs to any base. The other part, the reason why you have the ability to do this is because Nakayoshi's he's a strike thrower. He's not a guy who's slipping behind in counts. He will throw strikes and force the action. You just have to get that weak contact or a swing and miss.
So the biggest at bat of the night arrives here for Elmer Reyes in Nicaragua. Nakaoshi in a one-out jam. And a little slow roller that will spin foul. No balls and a strike.
And this could have been a run right here. Look at that ball just kind of spin back on the field, then hit the lip of that grass.
At third base, Luis Montealto reached on a lazy fly ball to left field that dropped between 3 Brazilian outfielders and infielders. Second base, Brandon Leighton, who was hit by a pitch. Those two sacrificed into scoring position by Benjamin Alegria. And at first base, Cheslor Cuthbert after the intentional walk.
And I think if you're Nakayoshi in this at-bat right now, you have to go into this each pitch knowing that you can get outside the strike zone. Reyes is going to be swinging the bat.
0-1 on the way to. And a bouncing ball out towards second. It's at the bag for one, and it's not in time, and the run scores. An insurance tally crosses for Nicaragua, and it is a 3-1 lead in the 7th.
Well, he got that weak contact, just too slow of a roller and just too much speed from Reyes up the line. They may challenge this. You can see the infielders looking to say, hey, check it out. Make sure you see if we can challenge this one. But, man, just enough to get that big insurance run. They will challenge this play.
Looked pretty clear on our first replay that Reyes was safe at first, but we will get a look at this. And this is a big run because it cashes in that leadoff double for a base runner who really shouldn't have been aboard. Yeah, that's a pretty easy save call.
Easily safe.
So with 2 gone, it'll be first and third. And a run home in this inning. Yeah, some great hustle by your cleanup hitter and your second baseman, Elmer Reyes, to beat it out. That is a clear safe call, and it's confirmed on the field by tonight's home plate umpire, Anthony Perez.
And this crowd, this Nicaraguan crowd especially, is going crazy knowing how big that one run is. Yeah, you said it, Tyler. Going back to that ball that dropped in left field, man, how big was that? That's a play when you're trying to develop baseball in your country in the next couple of years. If you don't get through to the qualifiers and you think to yourself, look, we're in total control the entire time, that will haunt you, that play here in the 7th inning.
So now it's Dwight Britton's chance. First and check over on Reyes. Britton doubled to drive in the second run of his team's 2-run first. Since then, a ground out to short and a foul out to first. And he bounces this one over to third. A tough play. The throw to second is in time to get the lead runner, Reyes. That's a nice job by Leonardo Reginato on a difficult bouncing ball his direction. Nicaragua cashes in 1. Will it be enough? We're headed to the bottom of the 7th in a 3-1 game.
is so festive.
Microphone 1 2 1 2. Pack the whole place.
The fans here enjoying what they're seeing at this time.
Marching to the World Baseball Classic.
Sandor Guido and his Nicaragua squad hoping that they will be the team that grabs the last ticket to the 2023 World Baseball Classic, and they will have to do it behind their bullpen as we head into the bottom half of the 7th inning. The right-hander Jesus Garrido takes over after a brilliant starting effort from Osman Gutierrez.
Yeah, how good was Osman Gutierrez? This is his 2nd appearance. He threw 3 innings just a couple days ago, and today 6 strong innings, giving up the 1 run. It was unearned. 5 punch-outs and a walk. Dominated.
Gutierrez technically could have stayed in this game. He was at 83 pitches. He could have started 1 more batter, or conceivably 2 more if he got a first pitch out like he did last inning. But Nicaragua electing to go to the bullpen. 83 pitches, 52 for strikes. And Gutierrez gives way to Garrido, the first man out of the bullpen, 27-year-old from Managua, who pitches for Chinandega in the Nicaraguan Professional League. And the right-hander is ready to go to work against 7, 8, 9 in the Brazil lineup, and he plunks the first man he faces, Daniel Molinari, and it's a leadoff base runner.
Get base runners any way you can if you're Brazil. Offense is hard to come by, especially swinging the bat.
Just continues to be such a factor. That's the 4th man in this game to be plunked.
Get back to that last inning too. Gutierrez has been so good. You're in a situation where you can knock him out of this game. Then you had Brazil just swinging at pitches. 0-0 pitches outside the strike zone, getting lazy fly balls. You'd have some good at-bats right here. I think Garrido labored just a little bit, create some action.
Leadoff man on the first pitch, and the tying run comes to the plate. And first pitch swinging again. Pop up back behind the plate. Novoa will see that trend into the stands. No balls and a strike on Luciano. A lot of early swings still, as Brazil trails this game, and they have trailed it throughout, but they're still being really aggressive in counts here in the late innings.
And we just didn't see that early on with Brazil. They had some grinding at bats, getting good counts to hit, get that mistake, and crushing. It's just a part of that too. They're pressing a little bit. They know their offense kind of went cold last night against some of that tough Panamanian pitching.
1 a strike, it's 0-2. Luciano 0 for 2 out of the 8 spot. And a ground ball over to third. Backpedaling Alegria to second for 1 on the first. Not going to be in time. But the leadoff out recorded. Molinari gone.
Just a good play. The big priority here is just get that lead out. Get that guy out of scoring position. Hit Luciano at first base. Can live with that.
We'll get our first pinch hitter of the game for Brazil into the batter's box as Victor Mascai steps in place of Daniel Chibana, the designated hitter. Another light drizzle has started falling here in Panama City. We got to give a shout out to Murray Cook and his field crew as this ball gets away now up the first baseline. And with all of this foul ground, there's the opportunity for Luciano to run forever. First to third he goes. And a runner in scoring position 90 feet away now with 1 out in the 7th.
And it continues. Some of the things we talked about last inning, the errors you make or the plays you're trying to make behind your pitcher. This game is being determined on things you are not doing, and that's making plays. Now all of a sudden Brazil's got a chance to crawl back in and cut that lead down.
And now the weather really becoming a factor as the rain has picked up, and Sandor Guido out from the first base dugout. He's going to go make a pitching change. The grounds crew has started to mass down the right field line near the tarp. I started to mention Murray Cook and his field crew. They have been incredible. 20 tarp pulls this week from Murray and his crew here in Panama City, and this gorgeous ballpark, this fantastically modern and well-draining field. The pitching change for Nicaragua as we move along here in the top of the 7th. Some more rain for this field. 3-1, runner at third for Brazil in the 7th. Well, a little bit of gamesmanship from that Brazil side. They had the pinch hitter, Victor Mascaya, left-handed bat, announced. That forced Nicaragua's manager, Sandor Guido, to go to the bullpen and summon a left-hander, as he does, getting Carlos Teller. And then Brazil brings on another pinch hitter, the right-handed MLB veteran, Paulo Orlando. So a left-handed arm to face a veteran right-handed bat, with a runner at third in a 2-run game with the rain falling here in the 7th. First pitch to Orlando is high for ball 1. Carlos Teller has been one of the trusted arms out of this Nicaraguan bullpen for Sandor Guido. There for a strike. 2 games. He has only needed to record 2 outs, but he's done so 1 via strikeout. And having allowed just 1 hit. (1-1). Fouled back. Carlos Teller was a member of Nicaragua's team that attempted to qualify for the Olympics last year.
It's interesting looking at Paulo Orlando, the fact he wasn't in the lineup. Hit 9th in this lineup for Steve Finley, the veteran big leaguer. Kept out of it today. Tonight. Was in there last night, trying to come up with that big hit.
Here's the 1-2 to him, and he swings and can't get a piece, and he's gone on strikes for out number 2.
And this is a huge strikeout. Runner on third with less than 2. You want to get that weak contact, but better yet, you want to get that swing and miss. Nothing doing. Now all of a sudden Brazil 2 out. Trying to strand that runner is Teller out here coming in.
So the task falls to Gabriel Maciel with 2 outs. and Luciano at third. Reached on a fielder's choice, went to first on an errant pickoff throw, and a swing and a pop-up too short. Leighton under it, inning over. That thing nearly came out of the glove, but Leighton hangs on, and we are headed to the 8th, a 3-1 lead for Nicaragua in Panama City. As we head into the final 2 innings here in Panama City, here is how things stand. The host nation has already qualified for the 2023 World Baseball Classic, back into the Classic for the first time since 2009. And only one spot remains for these 2 teams, Nicaragua and Brazil, with the loser going home and the winner moving on to the 2023 Classic. Back in the Estadio Rod Carew in Panama City alongside Ryan Rowland-Smith. My name is Tyler Maughan. We're swapping out the rosin bag as it has been raining for a little bit here. The rain is not overly heavy, but it's consistent. So getting a new rosin bag out there for the left-handed Brazilian reliever, Oscar Nakaoshi.
A big congratulations to Panama qualifying last night. Back to the World Baseball Classic since 2009. Man, what a layoff for a talented team just like Panama.
That celebration last night was so much fun to watch. And we actually saw some of the Panama players post-game, and they were enjoying the evening. They celebrated with the Federation president today at a team lunch, and they are off to the 2023 World Baseball Classic. Now, we don't know where these qualifying teams are heading yet, as Dwight Britton leads things off. And lines one left side. It's actually Melvin Novoa, and that one will get past Tim Lopes out and left. Extra bases for Novoa, who steams his way into second, a leadoff double in the 8th.
Man, that ball was scorched. No chance Tim Lopes could cut that ball off. You can see the water coming off the grass too, as that trickled into the outfield. Nicaragua back in business.
These bats starting to come alive again. Back-to-back leadoff doubles. And LaTroy Hawkins out of that third base dugout to go visit Oscar Nakaoshi. We'll see if that is the end of the day for Nakaoshi or not. It was Hawkins, the pitching coach, who made the last pitching change, and he will do the same here as they hand the ball off to Hawkins. And we are headed for a pause. Top of the 8th, 3-1 Nicaragua. Lefty Enzo Sawayama closed out his team's early game in this World Baseball Classic qualifier against Nicaragua and picked up the save in that game. He enters tonight in a much different situation with his team trailing 3-1 as we go to the top of the 8th in Panama City. Sawayama inheriting a runner at second after Melvin Novoa absolutely pummeled a double out to left. They got past Tim Lopes and clanked off the wall out there. One thing that is interesting about Brazil's baseball history, we noted in our country profile that Brazil actually received baseball from Japanese immigrants in the early 1900s. And you can tell that among the names on this roster, so many of these guys have Japanese family backgrounds, from Naoki Takano, Enzo Sawayama, Oscar Nakahoshi, who just departed this game, Igor Kimura. When baseball arrived in Brazil in the early 1900s, they were the population that really started to expand the game. Brazil is still home to the largest Japanese population outside of Japan, just under 2 million people.
Wow.
And back in the 1930s, they had to import bats from Japan because they couldn't make them in Brazil with any of the tree species that grew there. Some of the bats were too heavy, some broke too easily. They found that the guava tree was okay, but they imported a lot of bats from Japan. They've imported a lot of their baseball style from Japan as well. As the first pitch is up and in for ball one. In fact, there was an academy that was opened in Sao Paulo State in 2000, the CT Yakult Academy. And if you know anything about international baseball, one of the teams in Nippon Professional Baseball in Tokyo is owned by the Yakult Corporation. So there's a lot of that influence in Brazilian baseball. And for Enzo Sawayama, a guy who is pitching in some really big spots ahead of his age. He will not be 19 years old until next week, 10 days from now, actually, his 19th birthday. And a 2-0 count on the first man he faces, Sandy Bermudez.
On top of that, he's dealing with some weather right now. That ball's starting to get slick. One thing Sawayama had, you mentioned his age, he had that command, that presence. Last time we saw him against Nicaragua, all of a sudden he slips back 2-0 right now.
Fouled back into the screen. Sawayama's into the count, 2-1. Nicaragua's bats went ice cold, silent between the 3rd and the 6th. They were retired 3 up, 3 down in the 3rd, the 5th, and the 6th. They got a 2-out single from Brandon Leighton in the 4th, but he was left on. Last inning, able to scratch a run across. And a leadoff double here in the 8th. 2-2. Three runs, 7 hits, 2 errors for Nicaragua. 1 run, 3 hits, no errors for Brazil. Bermudez in search of his first knock of the night. He's 0 for 3. 2-2. Sawayama gets a bouncer back to him, holding the runner at second, but the throw to first is just in time to get Sandy Bermudez 1 out.
Well, he was all the way going to third base, looked up and said, hold on a minute, that runner's not moving. Then able to switch gears, switch directions, get that ball, first base just in time. We talked about this too. When you are down, you need to get your team out of these innings. Have to get out, so that's priority number 1.
They're going to take a look at this on a challenge. And we will see which way this call goes. Sandor Guido requesting the review. Yeah, initially, it looked like Sawayama had waited too long and then thought he got that throw over there to first in time, in game speed. And again, it has to be crystal clear on replay review in order to overturn the call on the field, which is an out call. This one might give us a good look at it. When the ball hits the back of the glove, yeah, I think that's an out.
I think it's an out, yeah. I mean, it's going to take a lot to overturn that.
There is no actual tie goes to the runner rule either. That's a kind of an urban legend that has grown its way through the game of baseball. That's not actually written anywhere.
Yeah, I read that.
Dynamite dropping -18. There's one more look. I would think that this will be an out call upheld at first base. Got the call from New York, and out is the call. So Sandy Bermudez is gone. That brings up Isaac Bernard, or will it? No, Bernard now walking back to the on-deck circle and into the dugout, and we are going to get a pinch hitter here in the person of Edgar Montiel.
See Guido making the change, getting Isaac Bernard away from that left-on-left matchup.
I've only seen one at bat from Montiel so far. He's 0 for 1.
It's been a whole lot of missed opportunities and stranded runners all night long here. This Brazil-Nicaragua matchup, just both teams go back to that first inning, jumping all over Heitor Toca. Besides that, there just hasn't been a whole lot generated here offensively.
The rain seems to have stopped as we move along here in the top half of the 8th, and now we're getting a conversation at the mound between Daniel Molinari and Enzo Sawayama, and out from the first base dugout, Sandro Guido seems to want a word with our home plate umpire Anthony Perez.
Steve Finley's been here before, Game 7 of the World Series, 2001. Yankees versus D-backs. Had a chance to talk to Miguel Batista about that a couple nights ago. He was in that game. Teammates with Steve Finley.
So here comes Montiel, the pinch hitter. Yeah, to have met 2 members of the 01 World Series champion Diamondbacks. One of those surprising baseball world things that you find during these World Baseball Classic events. First pitch on the way, Montiel fires the hands and fouls it back. That was LaTroy Hawkins' point over behind his team's clubhouse when we talked to him pregame today, when he said, you know, I've been telling my guys, stick with me. If you get overwhelmed in a moment, look at me. I want to be that calming presence for you. And same with Steve Finley. Those guys have seen it all on a field. You know, 1-1. And especially when you've got an 18-year-old on the pitcher's mound in the biggest spot of a game. Helps a lot to have a guy who spent more time pitching in the major leagues than Enzo Sawayama has spent on this planet. 21-year big league career for LaTroy Hawkins. 1-1 is away, 2-1. You get around this field. Every member of this defense, this Brazilian team, from the infield, outfield, they're thinking about 2 things. Number 1, what is happening during this game? Why is the offense so flat? Number 2, how can we generate runs? We've got 2 more chances to do it, 8th and 9th inning, 6 more outs. But first things first, you got to get through this inning unscathed. Sawayama home on 2-1. 3 balls and a strike on Montiel, the pinch hitter.
He just keeps looking in that dugout too, Sawayama. Picking up LaTroy Hawkins. It's kind of like routine. Looks in there, gets back, gets on the rubber, picks up his sign, and goes.
Here comes a 3-1. Ball 4, it's first and second, 1 out.
And this is where that experience, that age, can cause you to get unraveled just a little bit. We're starting to see that Sawayama was pumping strikes last time we saw him against Nicaragua. Now all of a sudden it's a big moment. Trying to level out that heart rate just a little bit.
We'll get a pinch hitter, or a pinch runner rather, over at first in the person of Norlando Valle in place of Montiel. So first and second now for the 9-hole hitter Luis Montealto, who reached on a fly ball to shallow left field to lead off last inning that nobody called and nobody caught. Tim Lopes and Gabriel Maciel came in from left and center field. Vitor Ito went out from short. The ball fell between the three of them. That was Montealto's first hit of this qualifier. And he doesn't get a piece of the first pitch he sees from the lefty Sawayama, 0-1.
Sawayama taking a long time in between pitches, that is for sure. For a couple of reasons, he's trying to slow himself down. Number two, the mound is right here. Number two, make sure he's got that grip on that ball. Had some rainfall. Get the dirt out of his cleats.
Two arms thrown in the Brazil bullpen down the left field line. Nicaragua's bullpen quiet at the moment, although there is a lefty walking into the dugout first base side. So we'll see how Nicaragua's manager Sandro Guido chooses to play things as we go to the bottom of the eighth. They're hoping for some insurance here in the top of eight. Here's the pitch. No balls and 2 strikes.
It's a slider right there. So deliberate in between pitches. That's where that pitch clock comes in handy. We're going to see that next year in 2023. Some big moments. You mentioned how young this kid is. Already getting a chance, getting exposed to some of these big moments for his country, Brazil.
Enzo Sawayama, born in Hamamatsu, Japan, pitching in the Japanese Industrial Leagues. 0-2 pitch is swung on and missed as he comes back from the walk with a 3-pitch strikeout of Montealto.
Yeah, we talked about how deliberate he's been. Big reason why. First of all, fastball. Then he throws the slider. This pitch kind of hangs up there, foul tip. And an even better one. Good depth on that pitch. Getting underneath that barrel.
So 2 outs now. We'll go back to the top of the order. And Brandon Leighton, who has been fantastic tonight. 3 hits, a run scored in the first. He was hit by a pitch in the 7th. And trying to come through here to give his team perhaps a 3-run lead or more. First pitch to him is strike 1.
All of a sudden, Sawayama's starting to find the strike zone. His confidence starting to build. Out away from getting his team back in the dugout. This is a situation, if you pitch and if you get that big strikeout to finish this inning, maybe jump off the mound, get your team fired up.
Out in front of him, 0-2. And that could be the thing that Brazil's offense needs too. I mean, just some sort of spark of energy. They have not been able to take advantage of anything so far today. Maybe that's what gets them going.
Yeah, you're not kidding. I mean, go back to that 4th inning when they scored that run. That was off an error, ground ball, trickling past the 3rd baseman, Perez.
Here's the 0-2 from Sawayama. Playable, perhaps, first base side. inside and nearly overrunning it. Christian Lopes is able to make the grab. He has made 4 catches, I believe, now in foul ground. And all 4 have ended innings. We will head to the bottom of the 8th. Nicaragua leaves a pair, but has a 2-run lead. Well, here's what all of this in Panama City and a couple of weeks ago in Regensburg, Germany is for. The 2023 World Baseball Classic, as the WBC makes its return for the first time in 6 years, starting March 8th in Taichung, Taiwan. That is Pool A. Pool B, March 9th in Tokyo. Pool C and D will get started in the United States, in Phoenix, Arizona, and Miami, Florida. And it is so great to have the WBC back. The biggest World Baseball Classic field ever. 20 teams. 16 qualifiers from last time out, plus 4 through our 2 qualifying events here in 2022. Vitor Ito leading things off for Brazil as we go to the bottom of the 8th. Their hopes still alive. They trail this game by 2. They have not had much to speak of offensively at all today. Trying to get something started as we go to the bottom of 8. And the count's 1-1 on it.
Tyler, I'm so excited about March, I cannot tell you. There's a couple of players that I'm hoping decide to commit. Number 1, Shohei Ohtani for Japan. I mean, that would be insane in that Tokyo Dome.
He has expressed his interest, and the Angels have said that he would be allowed to go. So that is certainly a distinct possibility.
Number 2, I want to see Clayton Kershaw pitching for Team USA.
I like that.
Boom. I'd love to watch that. Number 3, I want to see Liam Hendricks put the green and gold on. Let's go. I might have to shoot him a text
I was going to
message.
say, you got to text him.
Yeah. He's wanted to. There's been years where he's wanted to, but
yeah,
you know, every time there's been an opportunity, it's been difficult. He's trying to make teams.
There are so many different factors that go into it for players. You know, perfect example, we were talking with Carlos Gomez about his circumstances, and he said, you know, 1 year my wife had a baby. 1 year I was coming off a bad season. 1 year I'm, you know, in a contract year, and I'm trying to stay committed in spring training. There's so many things that go into it. But we are going to have some star power in the 2023 Classic. Among the guys who are already committed for USA Baseball, Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto, Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, Pete Alonso, Tim Anderson, Trey Turner. Those are, I mean, talk about a roster that money can't buy. Mark DeRosa, of course, our MLB Network colleague. He'll be the manager of that group. Swing and a miss by Victor Ito. He is gone for out number 1. Ken Griffey Jr. will be the hitting coach for USA Baseball. I would imagine that's like kind of an easy. You go to work as the hitting coach for a team that has Mike Trout on it. You're like, yeah, you're doing fine.
One of my ex-teammates, Jeremy Reed, is the hitting coach for the Angels, and I said, you know, I bumped into him. I said, dude, what do you tell Trout? He goes, I didn't tell him anything. He goes, I put the ball on the tee for him in the cage.
So leadoff man is gone. Carlos Teller going to work against Tim Lopes. And, we're just keeping the door open for Ryan Rowland-Smith, perhaps, for the green and gold of Australia. As the liner out to right center field, Tim Lopes has himself a single. That ball very well played back into the infield by the new center fielder in this game, Orlando Valle. That's a great job to hold Lopes to a single.
Yeah, you can see Tim Lopes turning that bag hard. He wanted to go to second, but you cannot start killing base runners or risking getting thrown out. You go back to that strikeout to Ito to start this inning. That was massive. You get speed off the bases before the middle of this lineup. There's one last chance to get after it. We're going to see a pitching change.
So Nicaragua headed to the bullpen again, bottom of the 8th inning. They've got a 2-run lead, tie and run coming to the plate for Brazil. Right-hander Joaquin Acuna is the next arm into the game for Nicaragua as this squad tries to get itself to the World Baseball Classic for the first time ever. And for Sandor Guido, all options on the table heading into the latter innings of this game. It's interesting to have watched that bullpen down the right field line and the numbers starting to dwindle down there. The more arms that come into the game, guys who are standing and throwing with the towels or getting warmed up and stretched, the numbers are thinning a little bit. 2 more arms throwing in the Nicaragua bullpen. And the first man into the batter's box to face Acuna is the guy who nobody has been able to figure out so far in this qualifier, and that's Leonardo Reginato. 8 for 12. Reginato with a single tonight in the first, another one in the 6th. He also walked and scored the game's only run for Brazil, and he takes ball 1.
Keep an eye on Tim Lopes. There you know there's a really good chance one of these pitches in this at-bat, he's going to be taken off. You mentioned that bullpen from Nicaragua. That hasn't been an empty mound, I don't think, since the 3rd or 4th inning.
Here's the 1-0. Buckled the knees there of Reginato, 1-1. Three weeks of international baseball. We have had so much fun in Regensburg, Germany, and here in Panama City, Panama, and we are coming down to the end of another thriller. Here as this game moves along in the bottom of the 8th. 2 runs for Nicaragua in the first. A run back for Brazil in the 4th. Nicaragua reclaimed that run in the 7th. And now a swing and a fly ball in the air to shallow center. A long run in for Orlando Valle. He won't get there. And now it bounces by him. Lopes cuts the bag. He'll dig his way back. And it's 1st and 2nd with 1 out. Valle was stationed so deep in center that it's yet another hit, the 9th of the qualifier for Reginato.
And what a huge hit. Little bloop into center field. See Tim Lopes again just trying to stretch the action, but now I was going to say as that ball went up in the air, You think to yourself, okay, that's a huge out for Reginaldo. Then all of a sudden you see the center fielder, Bernard
Valle actually now who's come in as the...
just charging in. All of a sudden you think, okay, Brazil's now going to be in business all of a sudden. We're going to get another visit to the mound. This is panic stations right here for Nicaragua.
Jorge de Paula, the pitching coach, out for another visit to talk things over with Joaquin Acuna. Acuna out of Chontales in Nicaragua. That is his team in the Nicaraguan Professional League. He is 34 years old. And there you see the arms getting loose in that bullpen. On the left of your screen is Braulio Silva. Tense moments in that dugout for Sandor Guido. He told us, Ryan, back on Thursday before the start of this qualifier, he told us, you know, what a tremendous honor this is for him to be able to step in as the manager of this team with the family issue preventing Marvin Bernard from being here. And you can tell that Sandor Guido is living and dying on every pitch in that dugout. This is a stressful kind of night. And the first pitch is a fastball there for strike one as we move into the 5 spot in Christian Lopes.
Yeah, it really is, because he knows this Brazilian team, they can swing it, especially in the middle of this order. This guy, Christian Lopes, knows all about his background. He can take the lead with one swing of the bat right here.
0-1. 1-1.
That pitch just missing. Nice little slider down and away.
This is the first time since the 4th inning that Brazil has brought the potential go-ahead run to the plate. Actually did it once in the 6th, but not with a runner in scoring position. This is perhaps the best offensive threat of the night for this Brazil team since the 1st. They loaded the bases in the 1st inning and left them loaded. Since then, they've left combined the same amount of runners on, 3. 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th. They got 2 aboard with 1 out here in the 8th.
Yeah, if you're Christian Lopes, you talked about going ahead with 1 swing, but you just have to see a pitch up in the strike zone, not try and do too much.
Moves that one back to the screen. Christian Lopes 0 for 2 tonight, hit by a pitch. Coming into the day today, he was just 2 for 13 with a couple of singles, but 3 runs batted in. A ball and 2 strikes on him now. 1-2. Fouled away again. For being a 2-run game in the 8th inning, this game has not found a rhythm, it feels like. And even here in the 8th, the pitchers just seem as though they've never been comfortable, with the exception maybe of Barbosa, who was good over his 4 innings. But other than that, pitchers have really been struggling to find a groove.
Yeah, it's been a grind trying to come up with pitch after pitch.
1-2, another foul ball.
And just like that, too, there's been a lot of mistakes with 2 strikes. Acuna getting away with 1 right there from Christian Lopes. You can see Navoa heading out to the mound. This is a pitch, 2 strikes. You can see Navoa showing that glove up. Misses right in the heart of the plate.
Still a ball and 2 strikes on Lopes. Acuna trying to figure out the last piece of the puzzle of this at bat. One-two. Bounced right back to him. To second for 1. To first and over. Acuna does the job. We're going to the 9th. 3-1 Nicaragua out in front of Brazil in Panama City. Well, the biggest moment of the night to this point, first and second, one out for Brazil, and Nicaragua gets out of the jam. Joaquin Acuna induces the double play ball off the bat of Christian Lopes to send this game to the ninth.
And what a moment right there for Acuna, getting away with a couple mistakes. He's got a huge power threat from Christian Lopes, who could literally go ahead with one swing of the bat. You can see this dugout is absolutely fired up. Tyler, you talked about neither of these teams really getting in a rhythm, especially on the pitching side of things. But you know what? You walk into the 8th inning, after the 8th inning, back in your dugout after that play, all is forgotten.
Man, oh man. That is a monster spot to get that bouncer right back to the mound. And you could see that Christian Lopes, as soon as that came off his bat, he was pretty frustrated and knew he was going to have to bust it to try to get up the line and beat it out, and just no chance with how sharply hit that was right back to Acuna. So Joaquin Acuna doing the job. We'll see if he gets the ninth or if Nicaragua makes another move to the bullpen. But before that, they're trying to add some insurance. And a drive in the air to center field off the bat of Alegria is gobbled up by Maciel, one out.
Tell you what, there's no better feeling when you're trying to make that pitch, trying to get that field, trying to get that execution done late in the count. All of a sudden, someone hits it right back to you, and you throw a strike to second base. Man, that is a good feeling.
It's the other thing, too, it's not always a given. You know, you get that bouncer back to the mound. How often have we seen, even in these qualifiers, a guy turn around and spin to try to go get that lead out, and he throws the ball away into center field?
Yeah, it's a tough play. It really is. Essentially, you have to throw up the hill of the mound. You're throwing to a running target, whether it be the shortstop or the second baseman.
That's just a great job by Acuna to start that thing, and a terrific job as well by the second baseman Elmer Reyes to spin it at the bag. So with one gone, here's Cheslor Cuthbert. Cuthbert's been aboard 3 times tonight, double and a run scored in the first, hit by a pitch in the second, intentional walk in the 7th. Also struck out in the 5th inning, and he loses the bat here.
Good changeup. Way out in front.
You lose it all the way down the line here. It's like you're going to run for a day to go grab it with all the foul ground. These are tense moments for these managers. Sandor Guido on the left of your screen, the pilot of this Nicaragua squad. And on the right side, Steve Finley, who's been involved in Brazilian baseball for nearly a decade now. The longtime big leaguer. Finished his playing career in 2007. The 1-2 pitch is swung on and missed, and down goes Cuthbert.
Another good changeup. An 18-year-old facing a former big leaguer, someone who was an established major leaguer for the Kansas City Royals, 2016. Good pitch.
So with 2 outs, Enzo Sawayama will go to work against Elmer Reyes as Nicaragua tries to keep this thing alive offensively in the pursuit of some insurance. 3 runs on 7 hits for this Nicaragua team. They went silent from the 3rd through the 6th innings, but they brought a run across in the 7th to give them a slight bit more breathing room. 0-1 on the way to Reyes. 0-2. Sawayama deals. Out too short. Speared out there by Ito, and we are headed to the bottom of the 9th. Nicaragua is 3 outs away from its first ever World Baseball Classic berth. Come on back to Panama City's Estadio Rod Carew. Headed to the bottom of the 9th inning in Panama City, a 3-1 lead for Nicaragua over Brazil, as the world's number 15 ranked national team program is 3 outs away from its first ever World Baseball Classic berth. And the first pitch at the bottom of the 9th is there for a called strike, as Joaquin Acuna, who got that monster double play to end the 8th, will try to close things out, or at least get the closeout process started here in the 9th inning. Going to work against Lucas Rojo, and he gets a swing and a miss to make it 0-2.
And this first out is huge in these innings. Get that first out. Look, it hasn't been an easy road for Nicaragua. It's been bumpy the whole time. They had that big win against Pakistan, but besides that, it has been a grind to get to this point. But here they are.
Trying to come through the loser's bracket. 0-2 on the ground to second. Elmer Reyes, 1 out.
And Brazil has just fallen flat offensively. Just getting nothing going. How good they've been playing these entire qualifiers, but this is what happens. Have to set that turn early. You see these fans frustrated.
And on the other side, they are ready to erupt. The fans behind the first base dugout with the Nicaragua flag, a baseball-mad country here in Central America that has been waiting for their first World Baseball Classic berth for a long time. And a pop-up, first pitch swinging, foul ground, first base side, Cuthbert, 2 gone. Oh, he dropped it. It was right in the glove, and Cheslor Cuthbert didn't squeeze it.
Man, look at this. Sitting under that, just kind of took his eye off that ball for just a second. Right in front of his dugout, too. That is a tense Nicaragua dugout right now.
This is one of those spots where if you're a pessimistic fan waiting for it to all fall apart, you think, oh, here we go. That does not make you feel good. You're handing a second chance to Daniel Molinari, who has been on twice tonight and put the ball in play that brought in the only run of this game for Brazil. It was an error that allowed him to reach. 0-1. 0-2. Acuna trying to erase that miscue. Over in foul ground at first. Brazil qualified for the World Baseball Classic in 2012. They did not win a game in the main tournament after going unbeaten in the qualifiers. They went 0-3 in 2013. Nicaragua has never been to the Classic. 0-2 swung on and missed. And immediately Novoa pointed at Cuthbert and started it around the horn going down to first.
Yeah, that was big. Look at this strikeout just blowing the doors of Molinari for out number 2. You can see Novoa just pointing to his first baseman Cuthbert saying, hey, we're good, we got you. So it's all about when you represent your country trying to get back to the World Baseball Classic.
Ronnie O'Roud is wearing the number 55. He has been one of the emotional leaders over on that first base side in that dugout. And Brazil is down to its final bat. Fernando Luciano, strike 1 to kick it off. Luciano tonight 0 for 3, reached on a fielder's choice. Sandor Guido, a slight smile in that first base dugout as Acuna wants a new baseball. Nicaragua was 0-2 in its 2013 qualifier appearance. They went 2-2 for the 2017 qualifiers, but they didn't make it through to the Classic. They are 1 out away from doing so here in Panama. 1 ball and 2 strikes. They're 1 strike away now. Acuna sets. 1-2. Flared out into right. Backpedaling Bermudez, and Nicaragua for the first time is headed to the World Baseball Classic.
Moment for Nicaragua. Always been a prominent baseball country. They've always shown up to these events around the world. They've had to construct this team from guys playing all over the map. And here they are for the first time headed to the biggest stage in March in the World Baseball Classic.
You know, this team overcame the loss of its manager to a family issue really just hours before the start of this World Baseball Classic qualifier. And you see Sandro Guido there in front of his team in the pullover wearing the green sleeve. And I mean, what an accomplishment for a lifelong Nicaraguan baseball guy to be able to lead his team to this moment atop that mound here in Panama. And with this deafening fan base over on the first base side, what a moment for Nicaragua.
Yeah, and that moment too, when that ball was caught, you look down at these fans and they were absolutely in heaven. Seeing their guys head to the biggest stage. It's been a bumpy road too, Tyler. This is a team that struggled out the gates. They had Pakistan that took care of business, trying to figure it out offensively. But here they are. It doesn't matter now because they can get ready. They got a few months, a winter, come back. All of a sudden, they're up against the best in the world for the first time.
What a game tonight here at Estadio Rod Carew, as we are all done with our 2022 World Baseball Classic qualifier slate, as hard as that is to believe. 18 games in 2 countries over the last 3 weeks, and a congratulations to Nicaragua qualifying for their first ever WBC, as we welcome you back inside the broadcast booth for the final time alongside former big leaguer and Team Australia pitcher Ryan Rowland-Smith. I am Tyler Mon. This has been so much fun over the last 3 weeks, man. And for these teams, 3 teams out of the 4 qualifying making their first ever Classic, and all 4 making it out of the qualifier for the first time. It's a new day. It's a redrawing of the international baseball map.
It really is. This has been a ride since day one in Germany, arriving there, seeing that WBC logo, and all of a sudden all the memories from 5.5 years ago all came back. And again, huge congratulations for some of these countries for the first time getting a chance to be a part of the biggest, what is going to be the biggest World Baseball Classic.
It has been just an unbelievable show from Germany to here in Panama City. We have so many people to thank from this 2022 qualifier. Our league representative, Daryl Martins, our production manager, Samantha Calastro. Those two have been amazing. They have seen us through absolutely everything over the last few weeks. Tech manager, Andrew Perez. Our audio technician, Dan Cochran. It was so great to get a chance to meet and work with Dan. All of the folks at MediaCom. Our craft editor, Jason Seacamp, put together all those terrific full-screen country profile graphics and so many more. Everybody else from MLB International, from Jim Small, the president of the WBC, all the way down. And our producer, Tim Fryer. I know working with Tim over the last 3 weeks has made me a much better broadcaster. I've never gotten to work with anybody quite as fun and as talented as him. And as this dude, Ryan Rowland-Smith, the man to my left. We got a chance to meet for the first time in a big league ballpark in 2014. Who would have thought 8 years later we get a chance to be doing baseball around the globe, man? This has been outstanding.
Yeah, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone. This has just been a team effort. They feel like family to me, this entire crew. And Tyler, like you said, man, it has been so much fun getting a chance to sit next to you and call these games. 18 games. We got through it, and off we go off to March.
Off to March we go as the field is set for the 2023 World Baseball Classic. 4 teams that have qualified from Germany and Panama. Congratulations to Great Britain and the Czech Republic, from Germany to Panama, and to tonight's winners from Nicaragua on to the Classic for the first time in their country's history. Again, just the biggest thanks that we could possibly convey to everybody at MLB Network, at MLB International, at the World Baseball Classic, to our producer, Tim Fryer, Samantha Glasser, and Daryl Martins, as noted, to Murray Cook and his field crew who saw us through 2 ballparks, and everybody else involved in this broadcast. And of course, to my color man, Ryan Rowland-Smith, so much fun. My name is Tyler Mon, and our biggest thanks to all of you for tuning in. We'll see you in March for the Classic.